He would come and clinic the marching band. Do you hear me? He was blind and he came to clinic the marching band. It takes 10 years as a teacher for you to realize, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm ready to learn and I can pay attention now.
I'm almost there. Hello, and welcome back to Band Yap. I am Alexa Sanchez.
And I'm Jose Sanchez.
And we have a legend on the podcast today. We have Sherry Poteet.
Welcome, Sherry.
Thank you so much. I am flattered that you guys asked me to do this. It's going to be such a fun time. Now, I don't know about that whole legend thing, but I'm happy to be here with y'all and just yap it up with you.
Yeah. No, legend. Like I was talking to Brian Sowers and I said, hey, we're going to have Sherry on. And he goes, yeah, we sometimes call her the beast from the East because she is a beast of a band director. And she is one of those people that if you have her anywhere near or around your band program, automatically they're better by her presence. So, that says a lot. I mean, Brian's a great band director and he says that he's like, I'm a better band director because I talked to Sherry, and that's just the way it is. And I said, I'm going to have to agree with you there, Brian.
Well, I listened to the pod with Brian on there, and I wondered, after y'all had talked, if he had told you what he calls me. I didn't even know that he called me that. We were at, it was the year of COVID and they had the ATSSB All-State Band, up in Melissa. And he was with a group of people and he was kind of snickering and looking at me and I'm going, what the heck? What's going on? He said, you don't know this, but we call you the Beast from the East. And I said, okay, I'll accept that title. So I knew that was going to come up. I love Brian. He's a great guy.
Yeah, well, like Sherry, if like people have never like met you or have seen you, like you're not really a person of like tall stature. You're not like a big person, but like I tell you what, like I'm a large man. And like I feel small next to you because you just have this, like as the kids would say, aura. Yeah. You have this like just this giant presence about you that is like, you know your stuff and don't you dare cross this line, because if you cross this line, you better be ready for a fight.
Sherry has infinite aura points.
Yes, that is definitely it. Like seriously, like it is like your presence is just like something that like I don't know if you can teach that presence, and that's just something you have. Have you always had that presence?
Well, that is a very good question. I haven't really thought about that. My mother has always instilled confidence in me. I've never, on the outside, I've never portrayed the fact that I'm really like a duck. On the outside, I look really cool and in charge, and underneath, I'm just pedaling like crazy. So I was drum major in my high school band, and I've always taken on leadership roles just because it's in my DNA. So, I mean, if you know me not in the band world, I just blend in with everybody else. I'm really, truly, guys, I'm an introvert. And I know I don't come off that way, but as band directors, we have to be schizophrenic. You have to be one way here and one way another place. So I guess that's the best way I can answer that question.
Yeah, so the good old fake it till you make it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, you just gave away my secret though, so I don't know.
I like honestly hearing that because I feel that way a lot too, and it feels just very like justifying to hear Sherry Poteet say that too.
Yeah, well, I think that is part of being a good teacher. I don't know many people that can sustain the kind of intensity that it takes for us to do our jobs. That's the only way I know how to do the job, is the right way.
Yeah.
So I don't know any other way to do that. And I don't know that anyone can sustain that sort of intensity 24/7. I think you guys are a couple, you have to get back in your zone. You have to get back in your house, whatever your activities that you like to do away and get away, even take a a weekend just with you two without the kids. We're just multifaceted people, and we learn how to turn it on and turn it off. And I think the best teachers are those that can turn it on and turn it off when it comes time.
Yeah. I know I know Brian is someone that I know is on almost all the time. And
Mhm.
like I know I'm that kind of way. John Shriver, all these people that we've kind of talked to. And like one of the things that like and you might be the same kind of way. Like, yes, we can turn it off, but I tell you what, turning it back on after it's been off, it's been real tough for
That's
me.
how you are for
Yeah.
sure.
No, I get that. I get that too. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like COVID was not like a good time for me because like I've created a safe space in our house, and
Yeah.
so like we were home, and I was like, I don't want to work anymore.
Yeah, I know. Uh, well, and we get that way in the summertime too. Now I'm on the other side of that, so I have a little bit more flexibility than you guys do. So,
I don't know. I mean, you've been how long have you been retired now?
mm,
Quote unquote retired.
10 years.
10 years. Okay,
Uh,
and how many days out of the week are you still in
12
a
years.
band hall?
This time of the year, every day.
Yep.
Every day.
Now,
Yeah.
in the fall, my schedule's not quite as intense. I have my regular schools that I visit once a month or twice a month or something like that. So I have a little bit more flexibility in the fall. But no, come January, it is
Yeah.
on, and it is on, and it rolls all the way into May.
I feel like we have several retired people in the area that we have that, we see here and there. I feel like they're all busier in retirement than they were when they're teaching. It's a different kind of busy, but when we talk to them, they have their calendar, they pull it out, and there's something all the time that they're
Yeah,
doing.
it's like they're the like the fun aunt or uncle
Yes.
because they get to come and visit and do the fun things with the kids and then go away.
Yes.
That is exactly right. You just come in and drop the truth bomb, and then you leave. That's
You
right.
don't have to talk to anybody's mama. You
That's
don't
right.
have to answer to a principal. You don't have to
You
do
don't
any of
have to
that stuff.
arrange track schedules or tennis schedules or anything else.
You have to do a little bit of counseling though with band directors, because they will, they need to be talked off the ledge, especially this time of the year. It seems
Yeah.
like everybody that I've talked to this week has been in just sheer panic because, with scheduling of what you just described that you guys went through, and then testing on top of that. And then we have a power outage that lasts for 2 days, things like that. And so everybody is just in super panic mode right now. So
Yeah.
you
Oh,
can't
yeah.
talk them off the ledge quite a bit. But
Yeah.
it's a good time. I love my job, plural. I love my jobs. What I do, it is just it's the perfect thing for me right now. So
Yeah.
Well, let's get down to the nitty. Where can you tell us about the origin of Sherry Poteet
Get the
and
origin
the
story.
origin story of Sherry Poteet, the
it
beast from
happened
the
a
east?
long time ago, uh, in a land far, far away. Well, I do want to share something really special with you because one of the questions you ask is talk about your teaching experience and education and blah 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 all that stuff and why band. So I'm going to start with why band, and I think we can all relate to this. But I absolutely loved my high school band director was Denny Whitley, who is retired from White House now, who is also a legend. He's like a second father to me to this day. But he ran our band program like a family. We prayed together, we were respectful to each other, and we certainly were respectful to him, but he did it in such a kind way. So that's one thing that got me into band. And I thought I was going to be an elementary teacher, not music, elementary teacher. And I was going to junior college. I went to junior college on a scholarship. And my mom asked me one day when this was time to transfer to university, and she said, "Now you're in band, but you're doing elementary music. In junior college you just take basics." She said, "Do you really want to be an elementary teacher?" I said, "I guess." I'm like 18, 19. And she said, "Well, you don't really like little kids." I said, "No, not really." And she said, "Well, why don't you be a band director?" I said, "Oh, Mom, I can't do that. I'm not smart enough to do that. I'm not that good. I'm not a good player to do that." She said, well, why don't you give it a try? So I changed my major to music, went on to commerce, which is now East Texas A&M Commerce. And that decision set the course for my life. Because I think, you know how we all have those moments in our life, if we had made a different decision, how totally different everything, the trajectory of your life would be. So that's how I got into all this. I just told you that I went to commerce, and also got my bachelor's and my master's degree both from commerce. Had a great education there. Was in a great grad class with the likes of Fred Allen, Melody Ann Mallow, Debbie Hirsch, who's in the Houston area, Rhonda Morris, who is one of my mentors, that she was in North Lamar. I mean, there was a stacked class of people
I'm about to say that, like, what was that like? I mean, just like you just rattled off some names that are like, if you put them in one room and said, like, how many people have helped create an honor band or some kind of like major conference performance, how many of those people in that room had a hand in that product?
Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, just it was crazy. And the thing about it is, when we were going through grad school, everybody wanted to study with Fred Allen. We had study groups, and Fred was our go-to, because if you know Fred Allen, if you've told him one fact about your life, he will remember it when he sees you. I don't care how many years have gone by. He has that kind of memory. So we just flocked to Fred, can we study? Can you explain this to us? So we all just kind of collectively got through those summers. That was the time when you had to be on campus. And so we would go all summer long. We were all teaching at that time. And so every summer we were there for both semesters, until we finished. I think it took us 3 summers, maybe. It might be one night class. But it was a great experience, and I learned so much. And my professors there, I had some big name professors too. I don't know if y'all know the name Neil Humpfeld. He was the trombone professor there. James Deaton. I mean, just some really great people back in the day. This was in the 80s, so we're going way back. But really some great, great people. And I was so fortunate to go to school there. Now, speaking of my teaching experience, there's a couple of stories I got to tell you about this too.
Oh man.
Another pivotal moment in my career. Okay. My first 2 years, I taught in Winsboro, Texas. I was the middle school director. It was just the 2 of us, and at that time it was 3A. All right. The man that was the high school band director had been teaching in the Fort Worth area, and he retired to this area. So he took the job. So he was older. He had a heart attack in November and lay in a coma for hours and was brain dead.
Oh.
So he did not recover from that, obviously. So my first year of teaching, did I say that? My first year of teaching, I had to take the band to marching contest. We made a 4.
Oh.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
Like,
So,
how do you recover from that?
well,
As a first year teacher. Oh, by the way, my boss just died.
Spoiler alert.
then-
She kept at it.
yeah, exactly.
and like the judges, I mean, oh my goodness. And then they give you a 4.
That's awful.
Yeah. Oh, we
Like,
deserved it. I mean, they didn't give it to us. We deserved it.
They earned it.
So,
I mean, I was like,
so
where
then,
somebody...
so then by Christmas time, I'm like desperate talking to admin and trying to get some help or something, because it's just me, right? Just me in a 3A school, 2 campuses. And so they agreed to hire a man that was doing church music in the community. And he would do first period only, high school band. Okay. And then I did the whole rest of it. Okay. So I survived that year, and I thought, okay, if I can survive that year, I can survive anything, right? I was dumb as dirt, green as grass, and nothing, didn't know anything. So my second year, I decided to stay on, give it a go, give it, do the best that I could. And they hired this person, and I will try to be nice about this, but he was not a very caring person, and he really did not make a whole lot of friends in the community, and the students were miserable, and I was miserable. And I decided before the end of the year was out, I was not going to return to that school the next year. In fact, I was not going to teach anymore. That was going to be it. I was going to be gone. Until another pivotal moment in my life happened. One of my students in that little junior high band in Winsboro, her mom worked at the tax office, the school tax office in Pittsburgh. And we were just talking one day, and I told her that I was going to resign at the end of the year. And she said, well, they're looking for a band director in Pittsburgh at the middle school. I said, oh, okay. Well, I appreciate the information, but I think I'm going to go into the military. I'm just going to play in one of the military bands. I've got an audition coming up. And now it's not one of the big bands. Don't get me wrong. It was just one of the lower ranking military bands.
What instrument did you play?
I'm
or
a
do you play?
I was a saxophone player. I was a saxophone player.
I got the band director chops right now. I'm a tuba player, and I just I'm beginner level all over again.
Yeah, it's just totally gone. So anyway, long story short, I called the superintendent's office, and the superintendent was out of town. And after that, I went on vacation. I didn't really give it another thought, And while I was on vacation, I got a call from the superintendent. We did an interview over the phone, and he hired me over the phone. But the point being is, I wouldn't be sitting here talking to you right today if that lady that worked at the tax office had not told me about that interview or that job opening, and I went for that interview. And I look back on that, and I think, how many people come to a crossroads in their career or in their life and look back and see, this is the pivotal moment in my life that sent me on this trajectory. And it's the best job. I love doing what I'm doing. I've loved every minute of it. And it just keeps getting better, and I just keep learning more. And I met some of the coolest people just through band. So basically, that's my story. After I taught in Pittsburgh for 15 years, I taught with Scott Williams. I taught with Larry Edge, and I taught with Greg Rose. I learned the most from Greg Rose. If y'all don't know him, he retired from Nederland just not a couple of years ago. And then after that, I came to Gilmer, and I taught in Gilmer for 13 or 14 years, I guess. And here I am today.
So that says a lot about like the assistant, quote unquote, assistant and head director relationship. This is a conversation I have with like my assistants all the time in relation to our students. I tell them, I go, if a student loses their passion for what we do here in our music or band or whatever, that's one thing. But we should never be the reason why a student leaves our activity.
Mhm.
And that's the same thing with like us, as like me as a head director, and then all my assistants. Like, no one should leave the profession because of the influences or the decisions that I'm making. I should make them want to be better educators because of like the direction we're trying to push programs. And that's something a lot of head directors like really kind of forget. Because Sherry, like you from what I know, your main concentration was middle school, correct? So technically, in a lot of ways, you were always considered "quote unquote" the assistant. But I don't think that was true. Like for you, honestly, like how I feel like when somebody got hired on as a head director, I think we all know which way the dog wagged.
Well, Jose, I will say that I am assertive, at times aggressive, but I also know my place. So when I'm working with a head director, I know I was a drum major, so I knew that role. When you're drum major, you're like the assistant director to your band director, right? So I knew that role, but I also knew when to take initiative to do something. And when, it was okay to say, no, this is not my position to do this. You're out of line here. You knew where to toe that line. Now, when it came to the middle school program, yeah, that was I was the person in charge. The buck stopped there. But I'll tell you this too. I learned how to teach beginners from Larry Edge because he got in there and he said, I'm going to take this particular class of beginners. And I just watched him, and he helped me realize that even though those are little kids in sixth grade, the expectation that you put on them, they're going to rise to that expectation. You have low expectations, they're going to show you, they're going to prove it to you, they're going to be low. But if you have high expectations of them and you give them the tools to help them feel successful, they're going to achieve that high expectation. So yeah, I mean, I was the assistant. I never wanted to teach high school. That's just not my thing. I was perfectly content to do what I was doing.
So why did you choose to concentrate like primarily on middle school?
I think it was because of I think I relate better to those kids. And I think I still do. I mean, I love high school kids. I'm so much older now that they're like my great grandchildren. So I mean, I'm like granny to everybody, which is awesome. And I treat them like they're my grandchildren as well. But with middle school kids, I just felt like they were moldable. That you could take them just from raw knowing nothing and just see them progress every single year that they were in band. If you want to learn how to teach band, then you teach beginners because that's where you're going to learn how to teach. And I think we probably all know that there are teachers that have been assistants in high school and they go and try to be successful in a middle school program and they don't know how classroom management, they don't know how to do that. They don't really know the pedagogy that's required to start a kid on an instrument. So I will say every time, if you want to learn how to teach, you teach beginners and you teach middle school. Because, I mean, that's like taming wild animals, middle
Yes.
school is like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yes.
Well,
right?
oh
Yeah.
yeah. I mean, the weather changed, and they always say like, "Oh, it's a full moon. Be careful."
That's real. That's a real thing.
We
No,
took
100%.
when we took I'll be non-specific. When we took a trip recently, I
Mhm.
felt like I was herding cats
Cats.
because a
Yeah.
lot of them were in 7th grade and it's the first time they've ever had to do something like this. And it
Yes.
was an experience for everyone and I hope they learned something from it by the end of it.
Patience. We learned a lot of
Jose
patience.
told me I had to calm
Right.
down.
Everybody learns from that. Not just the kids. We all learn from that. Yeah, absolutely. I hear you.
As the kids would say, Jose told me I was crashing out
Yeah.
after that experience. He told me I had to calm down a
I
bit.
had to tell Alexa, I was like, Alexa, like you're getting upset with things that you have no control over. And it's just better that you just not get upset. I mean,
Well,
that's always easier said than done.
that's the thing, though, is kind of like Sherry was talking about. I just want it done the right way. And if that means I have to do all of it sometimes, then I have to do all of it. Unfortunately, in some situations, I am not welcome to do that. But that's okay. That's all right.
Well,
I,
so
I hear what you're saying. I do. I do.
Thanks. Thank you.
Is that why you are a cat person?
Because I heard cats.
Yes.
No, actually, I've only recently become a cat person.
Oh.
I have always, yes, I've gone over to the dark side. I have always been a dog person. I still have a dog too. And this cat came into my life. And are y'all cat people or are you
No.
We're
We're
dog
dog
people.
people.
dog people? Okay. Okay, maybe you can't relate to this, but
Well, so I grew up with cats, and I have a
I
theory.
did too.
I
Yeah.
have a theory. I have a theory that dog people can become cat people, but cat people can't really
I
become
think
dog
that's true.
people.
I believe that's true too. I believe
Like
it is true.
that is something that is very difficult. I've seen some people try to do it, and it's been very few and far between that it's been able to happen that way.
Cats are so easy. Dogs are not.
Mm-mm.
Dogs are like babies. They're very needy. You have to do everything for them. They're all up in your grill. You can have a cat. He doesn't care if you're there or not. And he will
Yeah.
come to you when he wants to, not when you want him to, right? So, cats are cool. Now, unfortunately, I live out in the country and my cats get to go in and out. So I go through a lot of cats, if you know what I'm saying.
Yes.
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 That's
We both grew up in the country
Yeah,
too.
yeah, I grew up
So
on a farm. Like we had farm cats. We knew what happened to some of the cats.
Yeah,
so
it's just I mean, it hurt me at the beginning. It hurts every time, but then you just have to accept it. It's a farm cat. The cats live outside. Things happen. So you just get another cat. Somebody's always got a cat.
oh yeah.
Oh yeah.
I
Mhm.
think that dogs live in our world and cats live in their world and we just happen to be in it.
That is
So,
very well said.
That's
Very well.
that's the same thing with middle schoolers.
yeah, we live in their world.
Yeah.
Yeah.
we're trying to
They
figure it
don't
out.
even know there's a world. They
Yeah.
don't even know what planet they're
Yeah.
on.
They don't realize there's antiperspirant in that world.
There's so many things you have to teach in middle school besides band.
Oh,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
100%. Yes. Yeah. So middle school band, and that has been your concentration. Do you have a favorite memory from your teaching days of middle school band?
Yeah, I do actually. This will show you my more assertive side. When I taught in Pittsburgh, we did marching band. We marched at half times. Okay. Insane. Would never have that. Never, never, ever do that again. Don't think it's a good idea now, but we had to do that at the time. And I had this a little boy who was playing snare drum, and we did drills too. I mean, no, not elaborate drills, but I had to write a drill and all that kind of stuff. And we had to practice all that business. Oh, just awful. And this kid, he percussionist, he kept missing a turn. And I told him, I said, I'm not going to say his name, but I said, "Sir, I don't know if you'll ever be able to march and play at the same time." Okay. I've eaten those words. That young man was a part of the Texas Fighting Aggie band.
Oh,
Oh,
He played percussion in the band. He is a very successful young man. He married one of my former students who was also in band. And just a great success story. So that's one of the ones that really sticks out in my mind. So
that's a
be
good
careful
one.
what you say because it will come back to bite you.
Or it
But
might
that,
light a fire under someone,
yep.
you know?
I don't know. I don't know. And I love the kid very dearly, but he was just frustrating me to know. He was a seventh grader. They're all legs and arms, and they just, how they are. They just can't do a whole.
So in your beginning teaching era, there were still middle school marching bands.
Yes.
A
Yes.
lot of people don't realize that those used to be a thing. I
Yes.
think there's still one
Really?
that I
Is
think
it
that
a West Texas
it's a
thing?
West
Okay.
Texas.
Oh,
It's
God.
one school, and I can't remember the name of it, but I judged a contest
I remember you
out in West
talking about
Texas,
that.
and this band director had a middle
Did
school
you
marching
judge
band.
the middle school
Yes,
band?
I
Okay.
judged the middle school marching band, and so it
Wow.
was like he did 2 rounds, and one was the middle school, and one was high school. I think they almost did the same exact drill,
That's impressive.
but I
Wow.
think it was just shorter.
Mm.
Like it
Yeah.
was very much like this is like military style marching.
A lot of the smaller schools, it's just changed so much because a lot of the smaller schools, they just march their 7th and 8th graders or march their 8th graders or
Oh, yeah.
they
Yeah.
just incorporate them into the big thing instead of
Yes.
having a separate thing.
Which
Which
is another thing that's mind blowing that someone can make that happen.
Yes.
I mean,
yeah, I
you
mean
look at Carlisle, you look at Chris Clifton at Carlisle, and I don't know if Brian Sowers uses middle schoolers in his marching band or not. But yeah, there's several really small schools that do that.
I think
Crazy.
Jesus does that. I don't know if he
Yeah.
uses 7th graders and 8th graders or just he might use both.
he
I'd
might
have
use.
to
I
ask him.
think Brian uses 8th graders to fill out sections.
I remember him saying that.
and so like he just like. I mean, you got to do what you have to do in order
Oh
to be
yeah,
successful. I mean, that's just part of it.
you
Is
make it
there?
happen.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Is there a failure you would like to share as a band director?
I saw that question when you sent that, and I thought, failure. You said as a band director, so that makes it a little bit more specific. Um, yeah, I think the failure that I had, other than the foreign marching contest, and then the first time I took a band to concert contest, I made a 3. I think we made a 3.32. We played in New Boston. I remember it very well. And I walked out of the sight reading room, and one of my friends was there that I highly respected. And her bands were really so good. She was from Louisiana. Her name is Patty Russell. And I said, I thought that was pretty good. What did you think? She said, they were severely out of tune. I'm sure you're going to make a 2 or a 3. And I went, I mean, it like shocked me. Like, are you kidding me? She was right. Every bit of what she said was right. And that was just the slap in the face that I needed, to bring you back to reality. So since that happened to me, I've done a lot of slapping in the face of other people. I try to be not literally,
I'm here for it. I'm so here for it.
not literally, but I try to do it
Maybe.
in a kind, loving manner. But people need to know. I mean, if it's not good, it's not good. And if your band sounds like if you have an 8th grade band and it sounds like a beginner band, you need to know that.
Yes.
So the most difficult thing, as you guys know, is choosing your words wisely so that you can give them the bad news, the real news, and then finish your conversation uplifting and encouraging to that person. So that
That's
in
an art
itself,
in itself, yeah.
I was just
Yeah.
going to say, it is. It truly is. Sometimes I fail at that art, but I really try.
I think that sometimes people, and this is a vast generalization, and for most people it's not true, but sometimes people hire clinicians because they want to feel good. And unfortunately, that's not really the job description because
Don't
that's
call
what,
me.
yeah, exactly. Like, that's not, I wouldn't expect someone to come just tell me I'm doing everything well. I want somebody to come tell me, like, rip me apart, you know?
Yeah,
There's a
yeah,
lot to say.
right.
It's just like,
Like, I really wish Sherry lived closer because I mean, her and I would have a good
I
old
think
time.
you would too. She'd be ripping you apart next thing you know.
Oh yeah, Sherry just seems like my lost law. Like she's my soulmate in this, like just this profession, and it's just like she says the thing that everybody's thinking, but everyone's too afraid to
You
say.
do that too.
And
I think that's why
I love it.
yeah.
I'm here for it, and I just like it gives me hope that people are eventually gonna want me to be around
And they
because like
will, you've got to get a few more wrinkles, a few more, years behind you, but you know, you pretty much, yeah, you just pretty much tell it like it is, and then people that respect you and realize where their limitations are, they'll listen and they'll do something about it. And I've had very few people that wouldn't listen to what I have to say to them. I've even some younger teachers that I've kind of ruffled their feathers for a minute, and then they'll come back and they'll say, "Thank you so much for telling me this." I mean, it hurts your feelings at the minute. Thank you so much for telling me this. So,
Mhm.
yeah,
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 I always say like you just need that friend who needs to tell you like
yeah,
girl, that don't look good on you, or like
yeah,
you got to book, or just something like that. That haircut ain't working, and
yeah, yeah.
unfortunately, I have taken it upon myself to be that person a whole
Yeah.
lot.
You are that person.
Yeah, I am, and it's just like, which makes it really difficult in our marriage sometimes because you're like, does this make me look bad? No, you look great, and she goes, I can tell you're lying to me. Stop it.
Sometimes he treads lightly.
And he needs to, right,
Oh
Alexa?
yeah, oh
He needs to. Right? He knows. And he's no dummy. He knows.
yeah.
Mhm.
When sometimes she'll ask me something, and I'm just like, the baby's crying. Did you hear that? So okay, so well, you do all these things, and then also like from what I know, because like we're Facebook friends and everything like that. You also stay busy in other ways. What other ways do you stay busy?
Well, I'm a field supervisor for SFA,
Mhm.
and so I supervise student teachers. And honestly, guys, that is my favorite thing to do because you take those kids those kids, when they are entering their student teaching, they are so excited and they're so passionate and they're so nervous. And they get in there and they are instantly, they want to put to work all the knowledge that they've obtained over the 4 or 5 years of school. And they get in their student teaching and they have, um, they're called cooperating teachers, or really mentor teachers that they're working with. And most of them are in really good placements. SFA is good about researching the bands in the area, and Dr. Claire Murphy is in charge of the music students, and she'll call me and say, I need a list of schools that we can refer kids to, our student teachers to. Do we need to take some people off of this? And I've taken some people off of it because they wouldn't spend enough time with the student teachers. But that is such a rewarding job, because you can come in and you can give them the information they did not get in college. And y'all think back, I don't know what your experience was, but I know the kids now that are coming out of college, they're very knowledgeable. They've been taught well. They're wonderful musicians. And then there's reality. Am I right?
Yeah. I mean, it's just like, if you, especially if you go into a small school, because that's also been one of your concentrations is small school. I mean, but I'm pretty sure you didn't try to play, first suite and E flat with your 7th grade group.
No, I haven't yet. No.
Give her time.
Every time. But like, I think that's like one of those types of things that a lot of like college students, when they like start getting into the profession, they are still very wide-eyed, and they've been like in that like mode of like, hey, I've been playing this grade 5 and grade 6 literature, and then they get into a middle school program and they go like, we're just going to keep on playing this, versus going like, hey, these kids like don't know how to like just put on, like, tuck in a shirt correctly.
So I think what I like about being a field supervisor is I can try to be that bridge between their college experience and the real world. Like Sunday, we meet every week on Zoom, every Sunday evening. And this past Sunday, I mean, I just took them through it, and we just talked about pedagogy. I said, I want you to tell me 5 things about each instrument. And so I would ask them a question, a theoretical question about trumpet. And I said, what are 5 things that you would tell a kid if the kid's sound is fuzzy? I mean, and then they have to start bringing all this stuff, and I have them write those things down. So at least when they're in front of a group, they have something that they can say. They may not hear what they're wanting, what they should be hearing, but at least they're giving them the same information that a veteran teacher would be giving them. So at
That's a
least,
good exercise.
right. And just trying to get them to bridge the gap between university and teaching. And
And
we know too that it takes 3 years before a teacher realizes they know nothing. They know nothing.
It's almost like child development.
It really is. It really is. It takes 10 years as a teacher for you to realize, okay, I don't know what I'm doing, but I'm ready to learn and I can pay attention now.
I'm almost there.
And then you spend the rest of your career honing your skills and learning even more. I learn from my student teachers. I learn from every teacher when I go into their band hall to clinic their band or consult with their band or the band director. I learn from them as well. It's a lifelong thing, and that's what I love about it. I mean, I'll be time for me to go to the grave, and I'll still be learning. And I think we all need to do that, and we need to instill that in our students as well. Lifelong learners.
Yeah.
I'll get
Yeah,
off
and
my
I think
soapbox now.
no, you're totally fine. Like, and that's something that I think a lot of times, especially like for us in the high school level, middle school is much more you said this malleable. Um, but when you get to like high school juniors and seniors, that's when like that stuff gets really, really difficult. And I have to tell kids the same way that I have to be reminded that I cannot get my feelings hurt if something is wrong. Like, just because I'm not hearing it, or just because like it's not smacking me square in the face, it doesn't mean that it's not incorrect still, you know? And that's something that like I have to work out, you know, and that was something a few years ago I had to work really, really hard about, because like I would say, "Hey, Alexa, please listen to my group," and she would like make all these comments, and I'd get my feelings hurt, and I'm going like, "Why am I getting my feelings hurt? Because I asked her to listen to my group."
Well, because we take it, our bands are part of are an extension of our personality, and our personality is the extension of our band. Your band is a direct reflection of you. And you know, to prove that, you go look. You take a band director that has just moved into a program, and that person's been very successful. That band starts to become his or her own band. They go to another school and it's somebody else's band. It may be a hot mess, and it doesn't take on your band, takes on your personality. So in the example that you just gave with Alexa, you take it personally because you feel like that's your clay that you have molded, and now she's poking holes in your mold that you've done there. But you did ask her, so there's
Yeah,
that.
I did it to myself.
There's that.
What's something that you're seeing a lot of from your cooperating students, that you are wanting them to kind of, you wish that they knew more about, other
Classroom.
than like the real world,
Mm.
classroom management?
And
Yeah,
Sam.
and that's such a hard thing to get in college.
Yeah.
Yeah, they can't. I mean, no fault of the university. Look at the kids are there 4 years or 5 years. They are just being inundated with all kinds of information. They only get one semester of pedagogy for that, one semester for that, one semester for that. And I don't blame the kids at all, because it's expensive to go to school. You got to get out quickly because you can't afford to be there. The teachers, the admin at the university level are just like a public school. They have certain things that they have to get through, and you know, curriculum, and they have to adhere to that, and all that kind of business. So I don't blame them at all. But what has to happen is with classroom management, I think part of, well, let me just say that my best student teachers, the ones that are best at classroom management, are A, mature, B, have worked band camps before as counselors and things like that, or church camps, and realize how kids think, and they're around them and realize the way that they can control them, manipulate them, if you will, to get them to do what they do. Those are the best student teachers I have, and the best people that have classroom management. Second of all, is also of importance is, and I will say this, and people get tired of hearing me say this, procedures. If you don't have a procedure, and if you teach middle school, you know what I'm talking about. You've got to have procedures, just like with your own children. You know, when that toddler, he starts getting into things, well, are you just going to let him get into things? You know, no, you're not, because he'll hurt himself, or, you know, mess up something else. There has to be procedures. And so if I can ever just crack the nutshell on my student teachers to realize that they've got to follow through with the procedures, and they'll see that with a cooperating teacher, yet they don't feel like they can do that. They want the kids to like them.
Hmm.
Mhm.
There's something that like my family, and you know, for all the qualms that they bring with them, but like my parents always, you know, taught me, and they always said to me like, at the end of the day, I'm not your friend. I am the person that is trying to make sure that you are a functional member of society by the time you leave my house. Once that happens, then I'll be your friend.
Exactly. Exactly.
Have you ever seen the play or the movie called Fences?
I have not.
So there, it's a play. James Earl Jones was in it. In the movie, it was Denzel Washington. And
Hmm.
there's this scene where a father and a son is having an interaction. And the interaction is the son is asking the father, like, why don't you like me? And he goes on to this whole entire spiel. He goes, I it goes around in the sense that I don't have to like you. I feed you. I give you a house. You eat at my, you use my water. You use all these things. I provide life for you because it is my duty. And I think there's kind of like a balance between those two things. And we've had this discussion about like nature versus nurture. And I think that's one of those kind of things that like in band, it has to be a combination of those two. And I think middle school is like the pinnacle of those two things. Like, yes, you're going to have certain students that are just naturally more talented, but how are you going to nurture that? Because, like, Alexa asked me this the other day, what would you rather have? A whole bunch of students who are really, really talented without any motivation, or a group of students who isn't as talented but has a whole lot of motivation to be good?
Yeah, I would definitely the second choice.
Yep.
Absolutely. And we probably had kids like that. I've had kids like that. They're super talented and just they won't work up their solo. They won't do this, just they're so difficult to work with. So I think you said that correct, Jose. With middle school, it's both of those things that you really have to raise them like family. I mean, you said that, Alexa. You have to do everything for them
Mm-hmm.
so
Oh yeah.
they can be functional in society. They can function hopefully in their home environment. Some kids don't have a good home environment. Who are they going to learn from? That's what band is all about. And I mean, that's what I loved about band too. Is I had a great family, but these are my fun family.
Mm-hmm.
My family wasn't all that fun, right? We weren't all that fun, but this was my fun family. We got to go on trips together. We got to hang out together. We got to eat together. You know, so that's what I always wanted band to be for my students. And also, someone asked me, well, how many former students do you have that went into music? Well, I have about probably 15 that are either band directors or elementary teachers or church choir people. Okay. My biggest accomplishment, I think, in my whole career is when I have a former student that has their children in band because of their band experience. That has been always my goal throughout my entire career, is just to get my band grands and great grands into the band program too, because their parents loved band and they said, you're going to be in band because I loved it and I want you to have that experience. That's a
I
mic
did.
drop moment right there.
Yeah, no,
Yes, it
that is
is.
fantastic. Like, I did a leadership seminar not too long ago, and I asked the question, like, okay, like, why are you in band? And like, I got some answers, and then I asked, okay, how many of you had parents that were in the band program? And all their hands like were raised. And I go, okay, how many of you were like are like first generation band people? And like only like two kids like raised their hands. Like, I can tell you, like, I'm technically a first generation band person. Like, my mother
In
was in
your
band.
immediate family.
Yeah, well,
Yeah.
my mother was in band.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, she was in band until like 8th grade, and then she got out because of whatever reason. So there wasn't a lot of band culture in my family.
So you're first generation marcher.
Yes. And so the only reason I joined band was because my god brother, he was a saxophone player at a neighboring school, and I wanted to be like my big cousin. Yeah,
Oh
he
yeah.
was also my cousin, and I was
Yeah.
like, I wanted to play saxophone, and I tell this student
That
this
didn't work
story.
out for you,
Yeah, I
did
know it did not. Because there are two instruments every kid wants to play, and that's
saxophone and trumpet.
no saxophone and percussion.
Sorry, I forget percussion because I'm blessed to be in the
But
family.
I tell this story to the fifth graders when I do recruitment, is that when I went in for band testing, when we tested all the mouthpieces, and I was a big kid, and my band director got to the tuba mouthpiece, and I know what he did. He stereotyped me. He said, that's a big kid. He's going to play tuba. And he told me that. He was like, Jose, you're gonna play tuba,
Was this
because
Robert Flores?
yes, it was Robert Flores. And he goes, because you're a big kid. And I was all like mortified because I was like, you just called me fat. And I'm like, he was
Who do you
right.
think you are, old man?
But no, but he twisted it real fast. He goes, no, because like I can tell you're big and strong and you have a lot of air. I'm like, and automatically I was hooked. Just because he turned that one thing
Right.
of me being a big kid into like a positive, and for being like a 12-year-old being a big kid, which was like an insecurity of mine, he said, you're gonna be good because you are
It's a
big.
positive attribute.
Yeah,
Because
I
you
know.
are
And I was
big
just,
and strong.
yes. And it was just like, oh, I want to do this now.
I know. Isn't it cool?
Yeah.
I was like, I was so gullible.
I have a different story than you because my sister was, I can't believe she was a cheerleader for all 7 years of her, or 6 years of her existence in junior high and high school. But she was also in band and she played quads. And I wanted to do that. And so her senior year was my 6th grade year. And I could probably tell Susan Young this now. But like my sister played quads and I wanted to play drums. And I threw my audition. I like accidentally made a sound on the French horn, and they were like, well, it's either percussion or French horn. And I was like, oh, well, I think it'll be percussion then.
You're a percussionist. I never knew that, Alexa.
Yep, I am a percussionist.
That is awesome. That's awesome.
Thanks, yeah.
Yeah. So the smart ones figure out a way to make it happen. So she figured out a way to make it happen. Oh, I can't make a
Yeah.
buzz on French horn, only using one
Sorry.
lip or whatever, to make
Yeah.
that happen. Yeah, that's pretty cool. I like that. That's creative thinking.
Yeah, thanks.
You
A
did
little bit
good.
conniving,
Yeah, a
but
little bit, just a little bit.
yeah.
So what's something you see in the classroom that you wish that older generation band directors, so like myself or other band directors, took a little bit more notice of?
Jose, did you just call yourself old?
Yeah, I'm starting to get there.
Yeah, I'm not really relating to that, but okay. That's a tough one because most of the people that I work with are very sensitive to different cultures and are aware of kids' socioeconomic background. And so I don't see a lot of blindness in the teachers that I work with. I'm going to say this, and yeah, this is totally in, but some of the older gentlemen that are occasionally deal with kids try to teach them like they did back in the 80s and the 70s and the 60s.
So throwing stands.
Fortunately, it's not that bad. But they are not, I don't know, they're just kind of out of touch with the way things are now. We know even since COVID that kids are different. Now, I'm going to put a positive spin on this. Kids now are smarter than we ever were because they have the tools accessible to them. Good news, bad news. They have the tools accessible to them. All kinds of information. Kids are very intelligent. All you have to do is look at the success of the bands across the state. Take that back 20 years ago. What these high school marching bands are doing on the field is jaw-dropping. What these middle school kids that are playing at Midwest and are playing, winning all the honor bands and stuff is jaw-dropping. They didn't have that 20 years ago. I know the bands were good then, but I don't think there's any comparison to the excellence that band directors have with their programs now, and the kids are able to rise to that occasion. And so it's inspiring. And fortunately there are only I'm hoping that there are only few people that try to teach old school. Because we can, there's some old school principles that are still hold true. But I think the way that you interact with people and the way you interact with kids has to be different now because kids are different now.
Yeah. Well, and that goes down to, again, like, I mean, it's just nature. Like, everything evolves. Like, it's that whole entire, like, study that where they had the 2 birds that one was on one side of the mountain, one was on the other side of the mountain, and, like, they developed even though that they were the same species, they both developed different beaks because the food supply was different on each side. And I think that's what we have to do consistently as band directors because, like, I can tell you that, like, if I was still the way I was in my third, for even fourth year of teaching,
You wouldn't be teaching.
I probably wouldn't be teaching anymore. Just because, like, I think I mimicked some of the behaviors that my band director did, and I love him. He's a great band director, great person. He cared about me, like, deeply, and he's a big reason why I, like, was successful and, like, got out of my hometown and all this kind of other stuff. But, like, there was a sense of, like, quick to anger
Mhm.
that he just, like, mimicked because I think there's a generation of band directors that just were that way. Like, it was quick to anger, quick to yelling, quick to shout, and, like, I mean, just quick to those, like, "Why can't you get it?" And now, like, the times have changed. That's no longer acceptable. And just understanding, like, kids are one, they are smarter, they have more resources, and they have more access to information, which in turn gives them more ability to be taken advantage of, gives them more of an ability to see things and, like, get attached to things that they shouldn't be attached to, which in turn creates more mental health issues.
Agree, agree, totally. I think what you're describing in the band director that you just used as an example is, and I see this infrequently, is teach through intimidation.
Yes.
And that's not really teaching, in my opinion. It makes the kids where they're scared to make a mistake. The best teacher, the best teaching that we can do is through mistakes. I mean, the band hall is a place to make a mistake, right? And we all make mistakes. That's why we're sitting right here. None of us are perfect. And if we don't have the opportunity to make those mistakes, how are we going to learn? So yeah, make a mistake. Don't make it 2 or 3 times, but and mark it. But but
Yeah.
it's okay to make a mistake. We encourage mistakes in here so we can fix them. So yeah, teaching through intimidation. Let's hope that goes away. I hope that goes away real soon.
Yeah, and, like, that's the thing that I've kind of we do something different, or I do something a little bit different in, like, my 6th grade. So we do, like, a bingo day. We have band bingo. And so what I've done is that I've made a couple bingo charts, and one bingo chart has all the exercises that I want them to master. Some lip slurs, some technique stuff, some chromatic stuff, just a speckling. And then the second bingo page has medallion lines or lines out of the book that those skills, like, build upon, or, like, they're based on those things. And on test days are also our bingo days. So I sit in the back of the room and I have, like, my bingo stickers, and I tell the kids, I go, "Hey, you are responsible for playing your test to me before the end of the class period. If you don't get it done, it is a 0 in the grade book. End of story. I'm giving you this time. Those of you who get your stuff done first, like, if you do your test, you can move on to your bingo stuff." And I go, "If you get a blackout, I will bring cupcakes to class and you will get to participate in a cupcake day." And, like, so it gives them that motivation to just, like, self pace. And I can start to pick up on which kids are, like, really motivated and self starters. But not only that, but I go, "Guys, like, if you have a test that you feel like you did not do well on, come back and replay that test
Yeah,
because, like, that grade is never going to be permanent because, like, what we do is not permanent.
that's right.
Like, one rep, yeah, okay, like, yeah, and marching band, like, you one rep will, like, determine whether or not you advance. Like, at concert and sight reading, you have those limitations, but, like, that's why we have rehearsals in order to get those points, like, through where you figure out the ensemble and all these types of
Well,
things.
especially with younger kids, we don't give a grade to check a box. We give a grade because it's a skill that they need to have.
Thank you. Thank you.
So
Yes.
it's pointless to just not allow them to I at least believe this. I don't know how other people feel. If you don't allow them to reattempt the thing that they failed at, they're never going to refine the skill.
That's
And
right.
like
And they're
what's the point?
right. And not only are they never gonna refine the skill, they're never gonna try again.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so like that's the method that I've been using, and like it kind of starts to tell me which kids are probably going to be in the top ensemble in like junior high,
Yeah.
or like be at the upper echelon of those classes, because like one, they're moving forward, they're not waiting for me to tell them what to do. Three, I've given them guidelines and they're being responsible, so I'm teaching them several things all in the same round. And then like my kids who have like a little bit of a harder time, they they can kind of self-pace in that. But like I give them that strict guideline, like, hey, if you don't take care of it by this 45-minute block, that's a zero. And who's that on? That is on you, no one else. And that's like a skill that's a skill.
Yes.
I think
That's
that's a great idea.
so, and that's I mean, that also boils down to like, we're talking about like skills as far as like playing your instrument, but like we have to teach them all these other skills on like how to practice. And I think that's
Yes.
something that us as band directors, we often forget, is how to teach them how to
Well,
practice.
also in the method that you use, and I noticed this when I helped with one of your classes the other day, but a skill that some students don't have is picking something that they know that they can achieve,
Yes.
because they look at the list of information they give you. And for some kids, they just don't have like the brain development yet to do this. But to say, okay, I can't do a 2-octave major scale, but I can do this 2-line lip slur exercise or whatever it is. And so they just have to have like a, like almost like executive functioning thing behind that. But that is also like it can be a learned skill for some students. You have to pick something to start with before you can move on to the next thing, and they often need our help with that.
You are so right. They see a big chunk, and this big
Mhm.
chunk, they go, "Oh no, I can't do that, so I'm not going to try." But if you could do 5 notes of a scale, and then you could do the next portion of the lip slur, whatever, if you could take it in chunks like that, maybe not in all one sitting, but just to learn, gradually as you go. And if your kids are like in concert band, if they're ability based, you understand that already because you know that those kids that are in the non-varsity band, that's why you have a non-varsity band. Because if they were in the varsity band, they would just be fakers. They would just be holding their instruments. There's no way they'd be able to play some of the music that you're playing in varsity. That's why they're in non-varsity, so that they can be taught with something they can be successful and they can contribute to. So yeah.
Yes,
So we
absolutely.
got all those learning abilities, learning styles all throughout our bands too.
I hate when people are like, it's the non-varsity band, or it's the sub non-varsity band, and they just concentrate on their like top performing kids. And
Mm,
Jose and I just talked about this, like I think it
mm,
was yesterday. But those non-varsity or sub non-varsity ensembles are the meat of your program,
you are right.
because you have so many fewer, honestly, depending on where you are, I guess. You have fewer high achieving kids,
Yeah.
but you have those kids that are there because they love to do what they're doing. They
Yes.
just need more time to refine the skills.
Yes. Preach, girl. That is exactly right. You are right. And that's so fresh on my mind today because I was in Gilmer today, and at the middle school, they have a varsity, non varsity, and a sub. And the sub non varsity really, at this point in their lives, are really further along than the non and the varsity. Of course, they're playing harder literature too, but they all deserve good teachers,
Mhm.
and they all deserve the opportunity to be successful and get the best instruction that they can get to. Even though
I
they're difficult to work with and you have to, oh, your patience and the frustration level, if you're trying to play a march and they're still playing everything where notes are touching and all that kind of stuff, it'll
Yeah.
drive them
Well,
nuts.
and that's one of those kind of things that, and I've had this discussion with other educators before about like if in all reality, you're in a lot of ways, your weakest teacher should be in front of your top ensemble, and your strongest teacher should be in front of your bottom
Yeah.
ensemble. I mean, that's the way it is, because like if you are trying to get everyone to a point where they are fully functional on their instruments, you want your best educator in front of that group.
I think about this a lot because I teach the varsity band and the sub non-varsity band, and I teach the varsity band in the morning, and I teach the sub non-varsity band as the last period of the day.
Mhm.
And I often feel like the teaching that I do, and it's like it's hard at the last period of the day, but
Yes.
the teaching that I do in that ensemble is better usually than my teaching for the varsity band students because I have to.
Right.
They're not intuitive. They don't have like all of the skills like just pre-programmed into them. And so a lot of the things that I have to do, it just makes me a better teacher to have to stand in front of them and figure out what to do. And I'll tell you too, that band is non-competitive, but we did a pre-UIL concert. It was their evaluation that we did was the concert. But I was proud of their progress from where they started to where they were. Their level of achievement was exponential.
Oh yeah.
Like, a ton, and it's, like, that's so important, and you really like, you have to teach those kids. You just
What you should do next year, if you can remember to do this, is do a recording at the very first day of the semester or the
I
year,
should do that,
and then
yeah.
do a recording at the end of the year and listen to it and just go like, "Oh my gosh, just what an improvement that they make."
I'm gonna
And
set a
right,
reminder.
and with a sub non-varsity, you gotta be creative.
Yes.
You gotta figure if you said it 5 ways, the same thing 5 ways, you gotta find 5 more ways to say it. You
Yeah.
gotta say it differently every time. You gotta say, well, like this sub non-varsity I was working with today, they had this little part in there where the kids had to slur to it, and some of them were just being real messy in the slur. And I said, just take the slurs out, go back and tongue it, tongue everything, then take every other kid and let every other kid slur it. And I said, if you can do that and they tongue it very, very lightly, it doesn't matter. Whatever the judges hear is what they hear. As long as it fakes it like they were slurring the whole thing, that's all you're worried about.
Yeah.
And that might be the solution. You have to think creatively with a sub non-varsity and some
Yeah.
non-varsities as well.
And talking about classroom management too, boy, are you gonna learn more about classroom management when you stand in front of one of those groups.
Yes,
A lot of those students just need more support, and that's just a fact.
right,
And
right,
if you wanna learn about it, that's the place to go.
exactly.
You don't need to go observe somebody's varsity band for that. You need to go observe their sub non-varsity band and see how
No,
that
and
works.
that's what our poor little student teachers, they get out and get their first job, and they just fall into that black hole, and they don't know what to do because they never were in a situation where they had to tame the wild animals in the
Well,
sub non-varsity.
a lot of them too, if you're obviously you're a high achieving music student, if you're to the point where you're gonna graduate with a degree, you haven't I mean, you have if you've been in marching band or something like that, but the likelihood that you've been in a concert band setting with people that achieve differently is
Yes,
pretty low.
that is exactly right.
It's
Well
probably pretty low. So
well
you're
said.
just not used to it.
Yeah.
Right.
One of the biggest things that, like, for music students, I wish that I was required to do, I wish I was required to play in the concert band. So, like, the non-major ensemble at our
Mhm,
university on a
mhm,
secondary instrument
mhm.
that was not inside the brass family.
Yeah.
So,
Wow.
like, I wish that, like, I would have been forced to be in the non like, I called it monster band because it was marching band, except that it was on
I would
stage.
have been terrible at that.
Mm,
But, like, I wish I was forced to, like, play, like, clarinet
I did
or
take flute
flute
lessons,
or, like,
but
saxophone or, like, bassoon,
ugh,
like, in that ensemble versus, like, because I played in that ensemble as a tuba player because, like, they didn't have enough tuba players, and
right.
I said, "Okay,
the
I'll
world
do
doesn't
it."
have enough tuba
Yeah.
players.
That's true. That's very
I don't know about that.
well,
I know some band directors who would say we have too many tuba
Ugh,
players.
could never be true.
But like I wish that was something that I was forced to do, quote unquote forced to do.
Forced.
Mhm.
Because like that would have been like super beneficial to me as an educator.
Right.
It's the same way. Like when I was at Baylor, I arranged a couple of times for I was part of Phi Mu Alpha Symphonia, and I arranged, and this is weird. I arranged Symphonia to go out and play in the stands with some local high schools on like Friday night football games,
Yeah.
because like I like, and then we went out and did like some free marching band tech, like clinic stuff,
Yeah.
and just field techs. And because like I was like, we need to be giving back. I wish there was just more of that, just because it gives us a little bit more of a full rounded like reality check of like what it was to be back in high school, or like what those students are going through. And like not only that, but it gives you a connection, a good connection to like a mentor.
Yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. Yeah,
So
our student teachers that have been techs for marching bands, they really are the ones that succeed a little bit better because again, it's just like if you were, dealt with band camp or you were in a leadership role with high school students coming to your university, you're a much more well-rounded person and know how to deal with people, how to communicate with people, and just generally know how they act. You got to learn how they act around you so you can kind of learn how to communicate with them and relate to them. Even though you're an adult, you keep that adult teacher student relationship. They still have to learn how to interact with them. So yeah, you're absolutely right about that.
what's one of the biggest changes that you've seen in the profession since like since you've I hate to say that you've had several generations of students and things. What's one of the biggest
I
like
was gonna
changes?
I was gonna say middle school marching
Yeah, middle school
band.
marching band. Yeah.
That for sure. Yes, eliminating that beast. Yes, that was one. I think it goes back to something that I talked about earlier. Is the biggest change that I've seen in the years that I've taught, however many that's been a lot, um, is that the quality of the band programs has increased tremendously. And that is such a wonderful thing. And not only the high school marching band, it's not just about that, but I mean, Jose, I judged your band last year and they were fantastic. I was very impressed with them.
Oh, thank
But
you.
the level of playing that these 4A high school bands and even 3A high school bands, the material that they're playing now is just out of this world. You would have never thought that schools like that. But too, here's a couple of things too. Nowadays there are more staff members generally in schools. I'm generalizing. There are also more kids because there are more people in Texas now than there used to be. There's more diversity in our band programs too, and that is always a good thing. So I think all of that combined has created better teachers of us because we found different and better ways of teaching and reaching those kids. And so the band programs have just gotten so good. I mean, you hear these honor bands, you go, oh my gosh, those are middle school kids. Now, granted, some of the Metroplex in the Houston area schools, I had a student teacher at one of the honor bands this year that performed. And when that kid was on the campus, there was a classroom door. And on that classroom door was a list of all the private lesson teachers that they had it covered the whole entire door. So that's an anomaly. That is not the real world. We know
We
that.
talk about that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah, that's not the real world. But there are people like Lindale High School, which is a 4A school. They have, they've been honor band before. They don't have any private lesson teachers. Brian Sowers, Chris Clifton. I mean, all of those people. So I just think that the whole state of Texas and all the band directors and the programs have just grown so much and they've stepped up to the plate. They've just gotten better and better. COVID was funky. Everybody kind of took a step back for COVID. The next year we tried to come back and it's just growing and growing and growing and growing from there. And that makes me very happy to see that happen.
Yeah. We get asked that question a lot. What percentage of your students take private lessons? What percentage, Jose?
0.
0%.
Yeah.
We are the private. 4A is kind of the Wild West too, because a lot of larger multi-high school districts open schools as 4As. So they have I mean, I know you know this, Sherry, but they have, 2, 3 directors at the high school, and then they have 2, 3 directors at the middle school, and that's how it is. And then they just plan for the high school as they add classes over time to be a 5A or a 6A high school.
Right.
And
Yeah.
so in our classification, we're competing with those schools that have feeder programs.
Yeah.
So it's just very interesting
It
sometimes.
is interesting. And then, you get out here in East Texas and we don't have that.
Exactly.
Yeah. I don't know if there's so many people that are moving to Texas that are filling up our schools so quickly. And we know several schools that they'll build a school and it'll get so big they have to build a freshman campus.
Yes.
And so it does get it's pretty crazy, what's going on. Good news, bad news that we are getting so many kids in band and things like that. But I'm glad y'all were able to carry on the success that y'all created there, and that y'all are happy with that as well. So that's good
Yeah,
news.
we're running the gauntlet this week. We had a junior high contest yesterday, junior high contest today. We have high school contest tomorrow and high school contest on Thursday. So 4 out of the 5 days this week we're involved in a contest.
Yeah, I was telling the guys last night. I went over to listen to Gilmer. They go to contest on Thursday with the varsity and non-varsity, and I was listening to them. And I was telling them, well, I think there were some people that went to contest yesterday with middle school, and they went on Monday. That can't be right. I said, no, it was Monday. And
Yep, there were some
we
people
all-
that went to
we
the
all
contest
declared
last week.
that was insane.
Yeah,
That's insane
Ooh.
on a Monday. Wow.
Yeah, for
But you
real.
get it,
That
you
is-
get it over with. That's the good part about it.
That's how I feel too. We got it over with.
Yeah.
Yeah. Honestly, the most upsetting part of that whole entire thing was the kids not bringing their clothes.
I know, because you don't see them over the weekend, and you
Yes.
can give them all the information and send as many messages as you want to. But there are those kids that
Yeah.
it's a skill.
Yes.
They don't have their clothes. They did not bring their right clothes.
It is. It is.
And then they're upset with me, and it's like, why are you upset with me?
You
I
forgot
brought
your
my
clothes.
clothes. I don't-
Oh Lord, yes, yes, yes.
So, did you have any mentors when you were coming up through the ranks, or do you still have mentors currently?
Yes. I mentioned Rhonda Morris, and now, even though she was just a little bit older than me, her bands were very successful at North Lamar. And she was an oboe player, and I needed to know some oboe stuff, So,
Don't we all?
yeah, still do. um, so I relied a lot on her about how she organized her classroom, and just not only just the band directing things like score study and work in a band and stuff like that, but just the way she organized it and all that kind of stuff. So Rhonda was a big mentor of mine, and of course, Denny Whitley has been a mentor of mine for reasons that are not necessarily having to do with how to work a band, but how to be a good person and how to raise your band like a family, and how to communicate with the community and with administrators, and just really be a nice person, and not be in your own little world, and thinking you're God's gift to band directing, because you're not. I mean, truly at any moment anybody can be replaced. We have to think about that. But it's the legacy that we leave behind. If we left, would people be happy we left, or would people be, sad that we left? And when I say people, I mean kids, not administrators.
Yeah.
It's a different
Yeah, and
situation with them.
yeah, and it. And we've talked about this before, is that like there's a balance between, there's going to be people and there are going to be kids who don't like you for whatever reason, and there are going to be kids who absolutely love you. but we wear so many different hats. I think it's important that you give enough attention to each one of those. Like we have our teacher hat, then we have our counselor hat, and then in a lot of ways we have our politician hat.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
some of us are stronger in all those suits, but you have to give all three of them like big things. Because would you say that a large component of your success was also being able to work well with your community and also your administrators?
Absolutely, but that was a learned behavior for me.
Oh yeah.
I had to learn it, and I had some bumps along the way where I was not very sensitive, to their needs or what they needed. But I learned pretty quickly that's not the way to be. I mean, again, you might be the band director, but that doesn't, I mean, you're just like everybody else. You're a teacher on that campus just like everybody else. And you've got to be a part of that community too. If you want to be successful. Now, if you don't want to be successful, if you want to be your own person out there in your band world and your band land, then when it comes time for you to need something, they're not going to pay any attention to you. So yeah, that was a lesson that I had to learn, but that is so important to be able to wear all those hats like you just described.
Well, and like that's something that I've gotten really good at trying not to make my problems other people's problems. And I do that primarily with my principals and I do it primarily with my superintendent. Like, hey, do you need me to help make some of the district calendar? Or hey, do you need me to put this on the calendar for you? And like he's giving me a hard time. He tells me I'm like a sitcom character now because
I thought you were a used car salesman.
yeah, that too. Either or. Because he's like, you got your slogan. So like before I leave his office every single time I talk to him, I'm like, hey, is there anything I can do for you today? And that's my slogan. And he just thinks it's the funniest thing. And like I'm actually like, yes, I'm saying it, but I actually
You really
genuinely,
need it.
yeah, I mean, I'm like, is there anything? Do you need me to go get you? I'll go get you coffee. I'm not above.
You never offer to get me coffee. But I guess I don't hold the purse strings. So
Like I'm not above getting somebody some coffee because at some point in time we all grab coffee for somebody.
That's
I
right.
will say I've watched. Okay, I guess I'm not the only person that's watched this evolution, but I feel like I'm the closest person that's watched this evolution because we've been together for 12 years and you've been teaching for 15,
16.
16. Okay, so you used to not know how to talk to your administrators.
Yeah, you're probably right.
Depending on the situation, like watching the evolution of how you used to be and how you are now is like you fine tuned
Yes.
that instrument.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a skill. It really
Yes.
is a skill.
I mean, it's just like I've seen so many people like complain, like my administrators don't,
I've seen that
support me.
too.
I'm like, okay,
What have you done to support them?
yes. Like, how many phone calls did you create for them based
Yeah.
on the way that you interacted with these students in your classroom?
Exactly. Exactly.
Like,
Or other people that aren't
yeah,
students.
like they don't want to be answering phone calls about the band director did this. Like
Band
they don't.
director again.
Yeah, like don't do that. And that comes back again to like that, like some of that old school mentality. Like I'm gonna like, don't get me wrong, there are boundaries for everything, and it's a skill, know when to pop your lid.
Yep.
It's a
Yep.
sometimes thing.
Yes.
Let them know you are passionate about the things you are
Yes.
doing.
Yes.
But like just like anything else, if you yell at somebody consistently, they become numb to it. And
Exactly.
like it's no longer like I've popped my lid, and sometimes like it's a like I just saying something in a disappointing manner has far more implications than like yelling.
Yes,
And I'm
the
like,
blowing your yes.
yeah, and it's just like not worth it at the end of
Well,
the day.
I think like Sherry's talked about how band is a family and how intimidation teaching is not productive. And some students, their real family is that way.
Yes.
And no one responds to that well. Like even when a student responds to it, it's usually there's two reactions. One, they shut down. Two, they become combative.
Yes.
And neither one of those things is productive. And so when we establish a culture that is dissimilar to their actual family, that can be kind of a learning process for other students because they don't know how to have those conversations with people
That's exactly right.
or
You're
how to
right.
interact with people
You're
in a
right.
productive manner.
Well,
The same thing with band directors and administrators.
Yeah.
They don't know how to
Yeah.
do that.
Right.
I mean, it's our job to teach both directions, up and down. And like and all around, because you guys sometimes you just have to teach your community. That's something that like and like that I don't know if you've ever dealt with this, but like a misconception about our program is that we practice a lot.
Like in the communities,
Yes.
that's the misconception.
Like that's a misconception. And I've been asking like where did this come from? Where did this like
and I
idea like of that we practice all the time
think
come
I
from?
figured it out.
And Alexa goes, "Well, where do we practice during the fall? We practice on our parking lot that is the like center of four campuses."
Yeah.
So when our primary campus, our intermediate campus are doing drop
For
offs,
high school.
and our high school is doing drop offs, and our bus routes. So the bus routes that lead to our junior high and our high school, our primary and our intermediate campus, they all drive by that parking lot.
Okay.
And so we are the most visible rehearsing group in the district at that point, because where does a football team practice? On the football field, behind the stands. Where does the volleyball team practice?
In a
Well, they
gym.
want to see them.
In a gym.
Yeah.
So where does cross country practice? Well, cross country practice is at 6 a.m. and
Yeah.
there's like only 15 of those kids.
Right.
You know, where does like basketball practice? Where does
Tennis
softball,
practices
baseball?
on the courts.
Yeah,
that
where
are-
does it? So like, there's never any visibility to how long those kids are practicing, or like, oh, if the kids are lifting weights, where are they lifting weights? Oh, they're in the weight room. Oh, they're doing film. Where are they doing that? They're doing inside. We are the only program that is fully visible to the full community for all of fall.
You're right. Starting
so, like-
before school,
Exactly.
before school even starts up for the year. Yeah. That's not
And s-
necessarily a bad thing. They may be saying
No.
that you practice a lot. But the great thing is that you practice a lot and they see older siblings, they see cousins, they see neighbors, they see all these people out there, and it creates curiosity, I think.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we've had like some kids who are like real, like it's fun seeing like the bus, because the bus drop off actually happens right next to our lot, and so like we'll see kids like poking their heads out and stuff like that. But it's like there are like those pros and cons to it. It's like, yes, we're getting the exposure, they see us, all this kind of stuff, but then there's also that side of like, oh, I don't know if I want to do high school band because y'all practice so much, and it's like we don't
Don't practice any more than anyone else.
Yeah.
We can't.
Exactly.
Yeah, there's
Exactly.
no
Right.
way. And we don't even get anywhere near 8-hour rule. So it's like we always
Yeah.
still have like 3 hours on the table.
My favorite thing is when the 6th grade pre-athletics class starts to actually like going to do workouts and they have to run by during band rehearsal, and then they see that Jose is on the tower, and any of the kids in his brass class, they look up and they're like,
He's wearing shorts. That's weird.
they're like, there he is. He
like-
taught me how to hold the tuba yesterday.
Oh, that's cool. I love that. I love
Yeah,
that.
I mean, there's really great things, but those are like some of the things that like we battle, and it's just like we have to like. There's always some type of community influence,
Mhm.
and like sometimes it's a negative, sometimes it's a positive, and like
Sure.
we have to like navigate through that, and that's a skill, and sometimes we're very blind to like that perception from the community, and so just being careful about that.
Yeah.
So speaking of influence, there are a lot of successful programs in East Texas,
Yeah.
and a lot of them I've heard your name associated with in some form or fashion. What kind of like influence do you feel like you've had in East Texas?
Well, I've been around a long time. I think there's that. I think it is I've just had the good fortune of working with really wonderful people that are connected in different parts of the state. And, I would be invited to like do some judging or something like that in my younger years to kind of build throughout the whole program. But I think the influence perhaps might be um, the success that my bands have had in Pittsburgh and in Gilmer as well. Um, with the development of ATSSB and the OPS series. That's a big thing. I served on the on the state board for ATSSB for many years. I've been asked to do clinics and for TBA and TMEA, and there's that. Um, and I think it's just the willingness to help other people. It doesn't matter if we were talking about sub varsity bands. It doesn't matter if you're in the middle of like nowhere in Texas and someone sends you a message or whatever and ask you if they could send you recordings, would you listen to their band? Sure. Send me a PDF of the score and send me a recording. I'll write up some notes on the score and send it back to you. It's time consuming, especially this time of the year. That's when I do all that kind of stuff. It's very time consuming, but it's also very rewarding when those teachers email you back or text you back and say, man, this is exactly what I needed. And I'm very specific when I give them feedback too. It's almost like, do this, this is how you do this. Don't do this. Take these people out, blah, blah, blah. Giving them like a checklist. And if they'll follow that checklist, and most of them do, then they're successful. So the influence in East Texas, I guess, is really, and it's so funny that you asked that. My mom asked me the other day, I took her out for her birthday, or she's turned 83 today. And we went out to eat, and she looked at me and she said, how did you come to know so many people and they know you? I said, I don't really know. And I really don't know, but I just think it's because of the people that I've worked with and just visibility through ATSSB, honestly. Where people just get to know you on a personal level and get to talk to you. So many people think just because you're like, I don't know, let's take Lynn Jackson, for instance. Lynn Jackson is the sweetest lady you would ever meet. I don't know. Do y'all know Lynn? She's awesome. She's a big name in the state of Texas. Do you know Paula Kreider?
Oh, yeah.
Who doesn't? She is a big name in the state of Texas. But you could walk up to Paula Kreider and you could have a conversation with her just like you've known her your whole life. Lynn Jackson, the same way. To me, I aspire to be like those people my whole life. I want you to be able to communicate. I'm no different than you are. I'm older than you are. So what? I am no different than you are. I know more than you do. Maybe not. But I can still learn from you just because you've only taught 3 years. I can still learn from you because you've only taught 1 year. And I have percussion student teachers. Oh my gosh, they teach me stuff all the time. I could learn from you, Alexa. In fact, I need to visit with you, just sit down and let you teach me some things. Or let me just pick your brain about some things.
If I gave you my recordings, you might not say that.
I think the influence thing is really just through ATSSB and people getting to know maybe the work that my students have done, and just willingness to work with anybody. And I try to be a good person. I really try to be friendly and nice to everybody. I don't want to be an ass to anybody.
Yeah, I mean that's step one. Like,
But so many people
most
skip
of the
that
time.
step.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, but like that's one of the wonderful things about band is that, like it's a place for everyone. Like
Yeah.
really, it is for the top dog QB. It is for the lowly low kid. It's for everyone, and it's a home for them. and I think that's something that is wonderful about
Yeah.
band. Because like I was in athletics and I was in band and I
Yeah,
loved band and I loved athletics. And it was just like one of those kind of things. My brother was the biggest, like he was a big old jock and he was in band. And
yeah,
that's just what we did. And that's, I mean, and honestly, I think he had a bigger community in the band program than what he did in the athletic venue.
Well,
Now they were a little crazier in the athletic department, but that's a whole nother story.
he lived your
right.
dream. He got to play the saxophone.
Yeah, he did play the saxophone.
Oh,
Yeah, but I just like there are certain names that like ring true in Texas, like in Central Texas, Don Theody's name
yes,
rings true.
yes.
Like for me, and I know like East Texas, I know some other people, but like I know your name is always one of the first ones that rings true for the product and the influence that you've had out there. West Texas is like Mike Lunny and like what he's done out there, and and that community.
Mhm.
They're just certain names that it's just they have stood the test of time, and no matter where they go or what other programs they are associated with, they do wonderful things. And so that says a lot about your approach to band, period, and just kind of people.
Well, I appreciate you saying that, but I want every program that I am associated with to be successful, and most of them are. Um, and it's not. Yeah, I'm telling them the right things to do, obviously, but that's not the end game. I mean, you could tell I could tell my cat the right things to do. He's not going to carry through with it, right? But you can tell them the right things to do, but they have to carry through with it. And my dad always told me growing up, one of the things that's most important is your name and the association that people have with your name, and never do anything to disgrace or shame your name. And I'm still very proud of that. And I want people, when they hear my name, I want them to think nice things. I don't want them to think bad things. I'm sure there are people that probably do think some nasty things, but
Well,
you know,
and honestly, like I'm gonna tell you, like when I saw your name and Roderick's name and Tammy Goss's name on the concert and sight reading list, I went, "Oh my goodness gracious!"
Jose was
Yeah,
stressed.
I was stressed, but it wasn't because of anything else other than the fact that I know that panel had like a standard and an expectation of what they want out of band programs and what they want out of music, and that you guys would not falter. And I was more intimidated by the fact that I was afraid that I wasn't going to meet your expectations as an adjudicator and as a person. And like that's I talked to Alexa about this too, that like we're prepping, we're going on Thursday, and I said I think I'm still in that mode that I was at the end of last
Yeah.
year music wise, because she's like, "Oh, your group sounds good." And I in my mind I'm just like, "No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't sound good."
Well,
And it's just like
there's
there's stuff,
stuff
yeah,
in
there's other stuff.
everything.
But I mean, I think that honestly got kicked off with like you being on the panel, because like I mean that's the truth. I'm not trying to like make you feel good,
but you
but
are.
like that's yeah, but that's I mean, after doing like the region band thing and like having me being your band organizer
That
and
was the
talking to
first
you that.
first we had met. I remember that.
Mhm.
Yes.
And like just like that presence and like the way you ran ship, and like I think you have a nice little saying that you have, what is it is we got to get to work because we don't have a lot of time, or something of that nature.
Yeah. Yeah.
And so and that's just the way it was, and that just made a huge impression on me. And so when I saw you on that concert and sight read panel, I mean I went like, oh no.
You went to work is what you did.
Yeah,
You
I
went to
sure
work.
did. I
Yeah.
sure did. I mean, but that says the influence you just don't have in East Texas, but that says the influence that you have throughout the state of Texas. And so like if you don't hear that enough, I'm saying it to you. Um, but like that's like fantastic. And that's something like for me, hopefully I'm gonna aspire to be like that, where somebody goes, oh, like, oh, Jose Sanchez, and they see me on the panel and they're like, all right, we got to raise it up to the next level because this is the expectation and the standard that I know this person holds for their own programs, the programs they're associated with, and the students they interact with.
Yes. Well, thank you for saying that. That's very sweet. You know, when you're in the trenches, you don't see it from that side. You see it just from getting work done and getting it done. And I really never even thought about when I'm sitting on a judging panel what the directors think about all that. Now, why I never thought about that, because I thought about that. First thing I want to know who's on the judging panel, but the way you said that, Jose, is that you want to not only, you don't want to just make a one, you want to be impressive and not disappoint the people if you know them personally that are the judges out there, and that makes it hard. It's just like when my mom used to come to a concert, I would be more nervous when my mom was in the audience in the concert because I didn't want to disappoint her. Not, I mean, I could fallen in a hole somewhere and not disappointing my mother, this is my mother. But you have that, when it's somebody that close to you and that you know personally, you don't want to disappoint them and you want to raise to their high level of expectation too. So thanks for saying that.
Yeah.
That was very kind of you. I
Yeah,
appreciate
of
that.
course. So okay, so your mother's, her birthday's today.
Yes,
Oh, she's born on March 4th.
Happy
he
birthday.
was
Well,
March
happy birthday.
4th. Yes.
That's special. I love that.
Is there a Dairy Queen near you?
Yes, there is a Dairy Queen near me. And I have some sad news. You know that some of the Dairy Queens are closing?
Oh,
One of the
yes.
ones
You
near
heard
us
it?
closed. Brian Sowers is closed in Carthage.
Oh, that's
Yeah.
horrible.
I
Yeah,
know.
No,
We had Dairy Queen the other day.
we did.
Dairy Queen in Gilmer is thriving. There are always people there. You go there, you get your ice cream, you get your Blizzard, whatever else they sell, because I don't usually get anything else but ice cream or Blizzard whenever I go.
Same.
Yeah,
But yes,
dip cone.
I'm all in for Dairy Queen. Yes, for sure.
Yeah. What is your Blizzard order?
I do like cookies and cream. That would probably that's my standard. Just kind of go to. Not really crazy, but you go with what you know.
Jose got the cookie. Is it called the Cookie Monster
I think
dip
it's the
cone?
Cookie Monster dip cone.
It's
Ooh,
blue, so it looks like Cookie Monster, but it has cookie pieces in it. But it's
Yes.
the dip cone, so
okay,
that's different. We took a
okay.
picture of it. We'll have to send it to you.
Yeah, but they
Ooh,
don't. They used to offer it in a Blizzard form.
I
I was all like, "Can I get the blue Blizzard?" They're like, "We're not doing that right now." I
But
was
the
really
funny thing
disappointed.
is our daughter has Jose is her idol. She's she's his little shadow. Everything that he does is what she wants to do. So every time we go to Dairy Queen, Jose gets a dip cone. So of course Eleanor wants a dip
what
cone
she
as
wants
well.
to.
Well, yeah. It is the worst thing for a 4-year-old to eat.
Well, I was going to say that's got to be pretty messy.
It's
It's messy for
yeah,
adults, much less a
yeah.
4-year-old.
Well, you got to
Yes.
eat it fast enough.
I can't even
That's
eat
how
a
you
dip
do it.
cone. That's why I don't order them. I'm 33 almost, and that's what I can't even eat a dip cone. But she's not bad. But that's
Let's
her.
try that Cookie Monster dip cone. I'm gonna see if they
Yeah.
sell
I enjoyed it. I
it.
enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Is there a middle school band performance that you remember more than others?
Yes, absolutely. Didn't have to hesitate. We were talking about this today. The last year I taught in Pittsburgh is the best band I've had my entire career. I can't remember all three of the pieces that we played, but one of them was Cumberland Cross.
Oh,
That was, and we won an OPS for that as well. But there were just a lot of really smart, fun, talented kids in that band, and that band kind of stood out for me. There was one other band that I had in Gilmer as well. It was the same kind of kids too. We went to Denton to that festival that they have over there in Denton that year, and we went to the Cowboy Stadium to tour that. But there's a lot of cool kids in there. Like two of those kids I know, no, three of those kids in that class are now doctors, and just real high achieving kids. So those are two really special times.
That's cool.
I feel like in middle school bands, you remember either the really great classes or the classes that just drove you out.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Another time in Pittsburgh, I took a band to contest with 28 kids and we made a one. And one of the comments was, "Wonderful French horn tone." We didn't have a French horn in the band.
I love that.
That happened to us
Okay.
yesterday
Mhm,
in our
mhm,
non-varsity band. We got some bass clarinet comments.
mhm.
No bass clarinet.
Right, that's when you know that you've done a good job. If you can turn your saxophones into sound like French horn players, or you can turn whoever you had into bass clarinet players, like tenor sax or whatever, then you have done a good job to fake them out.
Yeah. Oof.
So you have done so speaking of your favorite things, you've done a number of TMA and TBA clinics. Is there any one of those clinics that really stands out to you?
For sure. The one that we did, this past TBA, the one I did with Lynn Jackson. Lynn Jackson is a legend, and I just known her in passing, but, through Zoom meetings that we did to coordinate that clinic that we did, we became really good friends, and we'll be lifelong friends because of that. I also enjoy doing, YBT clinics, Young Bandmasters of Texas. I've done a couple of those as well, and I love those young teachers. That they are my student teachers and my young bandmaster teachers. Those are my bread and butter. I really love just working with them and just seeing them grow and improve and progress and those things too. So those are my favorite ones to do.
I don't know that your young teachers, your student teachers that you supervise and the young bandmaster, I don't know that they know how lucky they are
Yeah,
that
like
you were the person that is there for I don't oof.
yeah, I mean it's you just gravitate towards that like infancy of like either band or like the people in our profession. Like you are a molder of people, and I that's like great because like I love sixth graders.
Yes.
Yeah,
Junior high kids, I have a love hate relationship with them.
I get it. Same.
I am the fun uncle that steps in every now and then,
You're
and
the
then
fun uncle or you're the disciplinarian
yes,
that has to step
I
in.
know, and it's just like oh my
Well, it's
goodness.
hot and cold. It's tough. I mean, like I said at the top of this pod, if you want to learn how to teach, you teach in middle school because you have to deal with so many things.
Well,
Mhm.
and I said this to somebody recent. I think I said it to you, Alexa. Is that did I say it on the last podcast? Maybe, but the
You talk a
best
lot, I don't know.
I do the best ensemble people are middle school band directors, like teaching the concept of
Of an
how it
ensemble sound,
of
yeah.
an ensemble
You
sound
did say this to
are
me.
middle school band
Yeah.
directors. And the reason for that
Yep.
is because that's the world they live in. They live in the idea and in the world of like band, traditional, clean band ensemble sounds. Because now the marching component takes such a large like like frontal load of our being that we become very prone to continuing our band sounds like it's a marching band, and they are two separate components.
Yes. Yeah, exactly, exactly. That's why we were talking about this, is because some bands on the concert stage sound like marching bands sitting in chairs.
Yeah, no, mm-mm. That's not a good look. That's not
Yeah,
going to win you any wars.
and that's why like it's almost more important. Like I would honestly like invite like a stellar middle school band director to come listen to a varsity high school band,
Yeah,
especially in like the 4A and below, just because like it's kind of like a refresher of like, yeah, that's loud,
yeah,
but it doesn't sound like a band.
and that would be a great idea. Now, unfortunately, they probably wouldn't be open to that, but that would help their band quite a bit if they did that sort of thing. A The man that used to own Tatum Music Company, Mr. Tatum, Mr. Alto Tatum. I was fortunate enough to know him when he was still living. And he would come to our marching rehearsals in Pittsburgh. Now, he would have to have somebody driving because he was blind by that time. He would come and clinic the marching band. Do you hear me? He was blind, and he came to clinic the marching band. And he said, a marching band is nothing but a concert band that moves. If we have that concept in our mind, then there's not this big gap between marching and concert.
Right.
Now, I understand course style band and all that kind of business. There's a lot of pageantry and stuff like that, but still, aren't the best bands on the field? Don't they have beautiful ensemble sounds? They still do.
And their
Mhm.
tone quality is
Yes,
beautiful. And
it's
they
a
just
marching
make good
band that
sounds.
moves. And it doesn't matter which direction they're going, the band is still balanced and uniform. It doesn't matter which direction. So just think about that when you're hearing your marching band. Close your eyes.
Yeah.
Does it
Yeah, that
sound
was
like, yeah, yeah,
yeah, that was something Don Theody always used to say is like, don't look at your band, turn around, look at the score,
I've heard this, yeah.
listen.
yeah, yep,
And if you're not listening, hearing the things that are written on the page, you need to change something.
exactly, yeah.
That's such simple advice.
Yeah, I know.
Isn't it?
It's
We
just
we
like
But we all
it's
need to remember it.
yeah,
yeah,
that's
we get in our head. That's like our student teachers. They have so much knowledge. Well, not even student teachers. Teachers. We have so much knowledge. We want to impart all this knowledge on our students, and we end up talking them to death instead of letting the kids play their instrument. Give
They're
them
there to play.
instruction in 5 words or less, and get on with your life. They don't want to hear you ramble on about something. That's another soapbox.
I'm bad about that sometimes. Yeah.
same.
I
I
think
mean,
we are.
I don't know if you noticed this. Did you see me today? I turned
I
around
was
on the
stressed
podium.
today. Yeah, I saw you.
I turned around on the podium,
I thought
closed
you were
my
trying
eyes,
to look at me.
and I was conducting backwards.
They didn't. Okay. I saw you doing that. In my mind, I was like, they don't need you waving that baton in their face. Just
Well,
like,
I was just there's a whole bunch of upbeats in there that I was just making sure.
Yeah.
But
cares?
I did that because like I just needed to get out of the score for a second
Yes. Yes.
and just like I'm like, okay, what is the intonation doing?
I thought you were just trying to look at me.
No, I mean I always look at you. But yeah, I mean it's just like it's simple things like get off the podium, step back, just step back, just step
Okay.
back.
Well, here's another piece of advice. Don't use your scores.
Yeah.
Now, I have been known to steal my assistant's scores. I'm like, first of all, this is it's
You're
a grade
talking
2.
about as a mentor.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm like, this is a grade 1. There's no tempo changes in it. Give me the score. Just listen.
Yeah. Well, if you really know your music, which you should, you don't need the score even for cues. So think about that.
Yeah.
So as
You
you're
got to do your
working,
job.
as you're working towards sit down band, and you're going to contest, we like to call it sit down band up here in East Texas. So as you're working towards sit down band contest, you know that music. You should know your cues. Don't use the score. Once you get that, don't even use the stand in front of you. Get the stand out of the way. Conduct your band. Cue your band. And I promise you'll hear them better.
That's something Dr. Wilson drilled
Yeah.
into
Yeah.
us.
Sherry's saying, take away all your safety nets. Just
Yes.
do away with them.
Yes, be totally exposed. Just up there. We're putting all this pressure on the kids, and we're not taking any of the pressure ourselves. So think about that. This is y'all's podcast, and here I am teaching you.
Oh, no,
That's why you're
great.
here. That's why we have so much we need to learn.
I need my safety net for Thursday.
We should submit this for some professional development credit.
Oh,
because
man.
I'm being developed right now. Thank goodness. It's about time.
I will help you guys anytime.
So, Sherry, out of all the things that you do, what are some other things that you do in order to keep yourself grounded? That's like kind of outside of music.
Yoga, lift weights, walk outside. I love to hike. I love to ride my bike. Things that are outdoors. But because I live out in the country and I have a gate, as soon as I close that gate, the whole world goes away. The band stuff goes away, unless I'm like right now, this time of the year when I'm having to listen to stuff and send it back to people. But yeah, that's my chill time. That's the time I get back to what is really me. That's the real me when I'm doing things that are physical and moving and connecting with nature and things like that. That's really me.
Have you done any marathons or anything like that?
Actually, I have. Yeah, yeah. Those are
Oh,
all
which
behind me now. But
what?
yeah, well, I still do 10Ks, but the
Ugh,
marathon, oof, oof.
those are all in front of me.
Oof. You don't know pain until you've done 26.2 miles, and the point two does
Ooh.
count.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have done those. I've done 5, I guess, in my lifetime. Yeah.
Wow. Oof.
I'm breathing hard just thinking about it.
Me
Yeah,
too.
it's tough. It's tough. You go through emotions, lots of emotions. I
Oh
usually
yeah.
cry during a marathon, which, I mean, you can understand why. Um,
Yeah,
but
I'm
yeah,
thinking about
it's
crying just
like
thinking
it's
about it.
just like
Seriously.
it's kinda like buying a house, it's elation and then disappointment and up and down like that, but yeah, yeah, those days I put those behind me.
I don't think I need to run a marathon to cry. I just need to wake up in the morning.
You teach middle school. No, you do not need to
Ugh.
run a marathon to cry.
Oh,
Sherry's all like, I do yoga. I'm like, I can't touch my toes.
you need to work on that,
I
boss.
do need to work on that.
Teach some choreo.
Oh my goodness. Choreo and marching band. Oh, too much.
Hey, I
That's
bet
good stuff.
that could be a budding venture for Sherry.
Yeah. Maybe you need to teach some choreo there, Sherry. I
Listen,
mean,
Or
I
band director yoga.
I'm not sure I have that skill set, but yoga will certainly help your band students become more flexible and learn how to breathe. And
I
I mean,
believe
you
that.
watch all those videos and stuff of what they do, and I mean, marching band has become so physical now.
Oh yeah.
It's a monster,
Yeah.
as y'all know.
so what's something that you wish you could bring back? I'm talking about band directing. I'm talking about outside of band directing. Something from anywhere in your life that you wish was back now on the table.
That was a very hard question. I came up with 2 things: the rotary phone. Y'all
That's
probably
a
don't
good
even know what
answer.
that is.
My
Oh no,
grandparents had
I
one.
know.
Okay,
I grew up in a farmhouse. I know what a
okay.
rotary phone
You know
is.
what a rotary phone is. For obvious reasons, because this is so distracting to us and to our children and all the tablets, and believe me, I've got them everywhere, and I use them, and I feel like I need them. That, and the other thing is, y'all remember when you used to can play in your neighborhood and your parents wouldn't worry about you and you'd
Mhm.
be out riding your bike or playing kick the can and you didn't come in until mom yelled across the neighborhood and heard. But if you grew up on a farm, you might have had chores or something to do. But if you grew up in a semi-city, you were free to do that. Nobody ever worried about you. You rode your bike all over town. Nobody worried about you. That's what I wish we could bring back. That innocence and where everybody felt a little bit safer. What's something you would like to bring back, Jose?
Now that you bring that specific thing up, so something we used to growing up on a farm, and then when they sold the farmhouse, we moved real close to my grandmother. We actually shared the same yard, but we owned probably about 5 acres of land, literally right across from our house. And my dad one day took the tractor and he cut out all the brush and he made a makeshift baseball field.
How cool.
And so that's what we would do during the summers is that it was like the Sandlot, the movie where all the kids from that community back where I'm from, which is outside of Corpus, where it was called the La Colonia, which is
Uh-huh.
the colony.
Uh-huh.
And all the kids from the colony would come over to this lot of land and we would just play baseball.
Fun. How
And so
fun.
that like
Real life Sandlot.
yeah, it really was.
Yeah.
And like you bringing that up, I'm like, man, I wish we could bring that back.
I
Like
know.
that was just something that was so cool.
You have some person out there complaining, these kids are out there playing baseball all hours of the night
Yeah, it was my dad's
on their
fault.
own property.
It was so cool that your dad thought to do that for y'all. He did. That was a gift.
Yeah,
That was
there was a lot of climbing trees, falling out of trees, messing with hornets' nest, and getting caught in chicken coops.
Now you watch our children do the tree climbing.
I know
You remember that.
I had to get my son out of a tree the other day
He's
because
touching the
he's
roof
trying
of
to
the
get on
house.
the roof because we just let them out into the backyard because they have a swing set back there, and all we hear is like, "Daddy!" I'm like, "What's wrong?" "I'm stuck in the tree." "What do you mean you're stuck in the tree?"
Hey, I'd rather him be climbing a tree than doing other things.
So he's 4 years old.
Yeah. Wow. Okay.
He could be watching TV or something.
Yeah. At least
I'd
he's
rather him
outside.
be in the tree. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Yeah. Those are just, you know what? I blame, I'm going to get on myself. I blame those types of things on two things. One, the AC unit. Like
Very specific.
yeah, because like the AC, yes, it's a comfort. It's a
Oh, it is.
comfort.
So central air.
Central air is a comfort. Back,
You didn't grow up with that.
I did
That's
not.
why
I did not grow up with central air. That's why we were outside all the time.
Yeah.
And so, you know,
That makes sense.
that's why we were playing baseball. We were going to stink anyways. That, and when they started handing out trophies to everybody at T-ball. Yeah.
I didn't play T-ball, so I didn't get a trophy.
No.
The downfall of society.
No. Alexa, what would you bring back?
I've said this before. I don't know how you'll feel about this, Sherry, but my thing that I would bring back is the Sandy Lake amusement park.
Did you ever go to Sandy Lake? Do you know anything about Sandy?
Oh yeah. Many times.
I feel like this all exists in our heads, like those of us that went there and experienced it. But it was just like a bubble of fun and band smashed together where you just like didn't have to go to school, but you got to go do band and then also just got to like do these fun things with your friends.
Okay, so
And
this
that's
is
just-
from the perspective of a child, right?
Yes, not as a
Okay.
director.
Okay.
Because I don't want to go back as a director. I want to go back as a student.
Well, like, so now we're coming into a generation of band directors that don't know what Sandy Lake is.
Yeah, we are.
Don't get me wrong. I don't want to take anyone there. I just want to go.
Yeah.
I would play in an adult band.
Yeah, my
At that
perspective
festival.
of Sandy Lake is from the podium and
Oh, no.
getting
No
them
thanks.
there and all that kind of stuff too. But no, I appreciate that. And Sandy Lake was like it was an icon. I mean, it was something
Yes.
that you did, and now kids go all these other different places. But that you're right. People from all over congregated at Sandy Lake.
And everyone was there, like at that time of year, everyone was there for band. So you could meet people from different schools.
Yes.
And they were all there for the same reason.
Yes, they
And
were.
that was, I don't know.
Yeah.
Like, honestly,
That's when I was happiest in my life.
well,
I guess.
that's the reason why I did Region Band.
Yeah.
I did as a middle school boy. I went to Region Band in order to talk to other middle school girls.
Yeah.
That
Of course
sounds
you
right.
did. Of course you did.
That's why you know so many people.
Yeah, that's why.
That's why you're so well connected in South Texas. I know that's right.
So,
Yeah.
like, I mean, that's why I started doing Region Band auditions. But you know, I got next to last chair by 7th grade year, and then I go, I don't like the way this felt.
We always go places, like if we go to team year or whatever, we're like, oh, I was in a region band with them. I knew them when I was in high school. And it's like you knew
No.
everybody when you were in high school.
Now you know what his real motivation for Region Band.
Yes.
Hey, it motivated me. Yep,
Yeah.
it did exactly.
Whatever
That's what did it for
And
him.
the further I was able to get in the all-state process, that meant the more girls I was able to talk to.
The more girls, and they were better at their instrument. Win-win.
Hey, he was a boy. It didn't matter to him. That was not his motivation. He was just getting to meet him.
Yeah. Oh my. I'm being exposed on this podcast.
I know you are. That's okay.
So okay, so another question that I sent this over to you beforehand. So your university has changed names apparently more than once. So how do you feel about that?
At first, I didn't like the whole A&M thing, I do like the name that it is now. It's called East Texas A&M. They try to change it to lots of weird things like East Dallas A&M,
I saw
some
that,
mess like
yeah.
that. And I mean, did you see like people were just like raining on them about that?
It's like
One
10 words long. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, no, we don't need all that. So I'm okay with East Texas A&M because it brings back the original East Texas State University is what it used to be, and I can't complain. But UT has bought SFA. I don't know if y'all knew that
Oh, I
either.
did not know that.
I did know
But
that.
I
one
didn't know
thing
that.
that they claimed right up front is we're not changing the color and we're not changing the mascot. We're not changing the name. So far they haven't done that. I think they would meet with a lot of controversy if they tried to mess with SFA because it's pretty
Yeah.
much an icon too. But yeah,
I did not
I'm
know
okay
that.
with East Texas A&M. I think that's what it's called. Yeah.
Yeah. So like
Yeah.
back home, it was Texas and I instead of Texas A&M Kingsville. And
Okay.
then I actually know some people who went to Corpus Christi State University.
Was that Texas A&M Corpus
Oh,
Christi?
Yes, Texas
wow.
A&M
What
Corpus
is
Christi.
A&I?
Okay.
Agriculture or
Oh,
is that
and I have that carry.
industry?
Yeah, I think so.
Industry probably, yeah. Huh. I never knew that.
So
I never knew that
yeah, it
either.
was Texas A&I. So Florida's went there
I'll
when it
have
was
to look
Texas
into
A&I. But yeah, specifically remember some people who went to Corpus Christi State University.
Huh.
Wow.
Interesting.
Yeah, I
And
never
now
knew that
it's
Well,
either.
that was the whole thing too with Texas State because it was Southwest Texas.
Southwest
Yeah.
Texas.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
That was a big what to
And
do as
that
well.
well, I don't think like especially younger people, maybe unless they went there, I don't think people realize that because a lot of people say, "Oh, I went to Southwest Texas," and then they're like, "Oh, I went to Texas State."
Right,
You have to
right.
like
Same
kind of
place.
clarify.
Same
Yeah,
place.
Yeah.
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 Oh, so you went to State Sewing Ensemble when it was still at Southwest Texas.
Yes. Oh my gosh, yes.
So
That
did
was
I.
awful.
Yeah.
It was awful. It was horrible.
Pushing
It was
timpani
it
around.
was
Yeah.
always so hot, so crowded. It was miserable.
Yeah, I remember carrying a tuba and a euphonium around that hilly
Huh?
area and just going like, I have made some decisions and I regret every
You
single
should have
one of
played the
them.
piccolo.
Uh-huh. Back when I was in high school, we went to Austin to the UT campus. And y'all know that I'm a rather small person. I'm 5'2". Well, when I was in high school, I weighed 97 pounds, and I played bari sax and tenor sax. And so I am schlepping bari sax and tenor sax in Austin to get to my room too, because it was pretty spread out at that time. But
That's what it's like
we're
to be a
band kids. We
percussionist.
do what we got to do. We just do.
Yeah.
We just do it. One arm is longer than the other, still to this day. But you do what you got to do.
Sherry, do you have a favorite movie?
Favorite movie? Yes, White Christmas.
Why?
Oh, oh, what a great answer.
Yes, I know,
Oh,
right? Yes,
oh,
yes. I love everything about it.
me too. That is such a great answer.
We watch White Christmas on the first day of our Christmas vacation
Mhm.
every year.
Uh-huh.
Yeah.
And that's like something that like we have that's our like one of our family traditions is that like, oh, we're out for Christmas. Time to watch White
White
Christmas.
Christmas.
It just sets the mood.
You really can watch it any time of year.
You really can, because I love the music. I love the dancing. I just love everything about it. Actually,
That
What a
is
good
like
answer.
that's just such a lost art form.
yeah,
Like that style of movie.
yeah.
Like what's the most recent thing? I mean Wicked,
Yeah.
I loved
which
Wicked
was
too.
yeah, it was fantastic.
That's what they tried to do like with La La Land,
Yes.
but it's not
It's not the same.
the same.
I mean, because those people were like athletes.
Oh yeah.
Like
Oh
athletes.
Like
yes.
yeah.
They're like,
Absolutely.
oh, it's just like absolutely crazy to me. It's just like watching West Side Story. It's like those people
Yeah.
are doing some real work.
Yeah.
Mhm. That's true.
I discovered last night when I was stressed that the movie I gravitated to turn on was Air Force One. I just needed to hear Harrison Ford say, "Get off my plane." That was it. Out of everything on the internet that I could have picked, that's where it
Is
landed.
there? Do you have a favorite genre of movie that you gravitate towards?
Don't really watch a whole lot of movies anymore. I don't watch a lot of TV. It's just we stream I stream everything and I watch now. So more than watching movies, and I never, absolutely never watch any news media. None. Zero. It's not good for my psyche. My favorite thing to watch, are you ready for this?
Oh yes.
Is Superstore.
Oh.
Are you familiar with Superstore?
I've watched like bits of it, but I've never watched. I've watched, I guess, an episode or two, but I've never watched.
Well,
Which one
first
is
of
that?
all, I
Because I think
cannot
I know which
stand
one it is.
going to Walmart, even though I have to go to Walmart because it's a necessary evil. Well, Superstore is based on like Walmart, and it is so
Oh.
just like Walmart. And to me, it's funny, and I can watch rerun after rerun after rerun of it. I almost know every line that they're talking about. But when I watch TV, it is to shut my brain off, shut my ears off. I don't want to hear any music. I just want to like sit there mindlessly in my chair with my little blanket and my cat maybe. And if he chooses, and just watch mindless humor on TV. And I like Bob's Burgers too. I like to watch Bob's.
Oh, I
That
also
is
like
that
Bob's
is
Burgers.
almost the best thing I've heard today.
Yeah. Yeah. So you heard
It wasn't my bandit contest. It was Bob's Burgers.
Bob's Burgers.
No, I agree with you on that one.
Yeah, you
Oh,
heard it
that's
here
great.
first.
Do you have a guilty pleasure outside of that stuff?
Well, you mentioned Dairy Queen earlier, and I will say that ice cream is my weakness. I love ice cream.
Me too.
Especially y'all probably don't have Brahms down that way.
The closest one is in Hillsboro.
We know this.
Yeah.
It's worth the drive. Because I mean, I love their butter pecan ice cream, but also sometimes they'll have salted caramel. That's some good stuff.
I can get behind some salted
So
caramel.
love butter
yes,
pecan.
so those I don't have that very often, but when I do, I mean,
Now we gotta
you
go to
can't be
Brahms.
sad when you have ice cream. Ice cream is
Yeah.
just a happy thing.
Okay, so like, are you like? Do you have a company that you gravitate more towards when it comes to like ice cream?
Like store-bought ice cream?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, you can't beat Bluebell, I don't think. Yeah,
Love Bluebell.
yeah.
What do you like the best?
As far as what?
Like
Ice
store-bought
cream?
ice cream?
Hey, I mean Bluebell. That's just a good standard.
Yeah.
But you can't sleep on the HEB brand.
Yeah.
I haven't tried that. Blue Bunny's not bad.
Yeah. I mean, if I'm gonna like go all out and I like feel really bad about myself, it's probably Ben and Jerry's. But I
Really?
just have specific flavors that I like because they have Chunky Monkey, which is like banana flavored ice cream. I like it.
Yeah.
Okay, so is it caramel or caramel?
Well, we say caramel in East Texas. I don't know what
Yeah,
they'll
that's
say
what they
in
say in
Central
East
Texas.
Yeah.
It's just like that pecan or pecan.
It's pecan. It's pecan.
Yeah,
Yes,
pecan.
it's
Okay.
pecan.
Hey, some people.
You asked Brian Sowers that
I
question
did,
too.
and he almost
What'd
wanted to
he
fight me
say?
for it.
It's
He
got to
said
be.
pecan.
He better say pecan. That boy.
Yeah.
I know where he's from.
Send Sherry to fight him.
Yeah, right.
Better watch your back, Brian.
That's right.
I say caramel.
Okay.
I think it's because you learned from Spanish speakers who you pronounce every vowel.
Yeah.
Well, it is
Syllable.
spelled caramel. That's for sure.
Yeah.
So
I mean,
We just like to abbreviate things.
Yes.
Right.
I mean, the hard hitting questions. Do you have a favorite candy?
Yes. Andes mints. Those little mints. I love those things. Love them.
Supposedly, the Olive Garden Andes mints are what is it? The ratio of the chocolate to the mint is different from the other Andes mints that they sell.
Are you serious?
Yeah, I don't know if that's true. Maybe that's just an internet legend.
You're just
But
creating information.
Maybe I'm spreading misinformation, but I'll have to look it up because I've seen that.
Well, better yet, maybe we should investigate. You would have to go to an Olive Garden to investigate it and then go buy some Andes chocolates.
All right.
But to me, the Andes chocolates is just the right combination there.
So
In the
are
name of science.
yes.
Yeah.
So are you a Thin Mint person when it comes to Girl
No,
Scout
not
cookies?
really. I just like those Andes. I don't like the bigger ones, or even the Girl Scout cookies. I don't even like those.
Huh.
I know it's
Good to
weird.
know.
It's weird.
Hey, I get it. I get it. I love anything mint.
Mhm.
That's like a weakness. I like the flavor. I like the way it makes me feel, and also it makes my breath fresh.
There you go. There you go.
Maybe not when you eat a pound of Thin Mints, but
I do love a good Thin Mint.
yeah.
So, Sherry, what's in your ear this week? What is something that has been a kind of an
You
earworm
know
for you?
she's listening to middle school band music.
Rusty
I know.
Belt. I'm listening to a ton of band things, but when I'm not listening to band things, when I want to get just clean, like it's almost like cleaning your ears out, cleansing your ears. I listen to a lot of podcasts. I do listen to y'all's podcast, as you will
Oh, thank
like to
you.
know. Yes. I listen to BFF, and I also listen to After Sectionals just for,
Mhm.
knowledge and information. But my favorite podcasts are health related podcasts. Um, some fitness stuff, not really fitness, but, just where people are talking about overall health and how to improve your overall health.
Like
Which can be
wellness
scary.
type.
Yeah, wellness kind of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, do you have one for any band directors that are listening? What you would recommend as far as a health one?
Oh, wow. Yes. Dr. Mark Hyman, Hyman. He is he's an MD, but he's also a naturopath. So he was a practicing physician. He's had a lot of experience doing that, but now he's opened a clinic that just deals in trying to get people off medicine and more healthy by what they're eating and working out, things like that. And he's real easy to understand. He's real down to earth, and he's real entertaining too. So
Huh.
he's a good
I
friend.
think that I think that's something we often forget just because like our work hours and how
Oh,
intensive our job is
yes.
that sometimes we forget about that side of things.
Absolutely. It is so hard for band directors. Number one, you don't have time to eat. 30 minutes is not time to eat. You're in a rush to try to just get to school with your meal if you have to, and then that would leave you prepping meals on Sunday to try to get ready to do that. And if you I don't know how you guys make it at all. Doing what you're doing, and y'all have two
Barely.
children, right?
We have
3.
3.
You have 3 children. 3 kids. You're at school from dark to dark. You do this podcast to way past my bedtime. And,
Yeah.
you guys are, and then you got to do all the editing and all that business that comes with it. I don't know how you do it. Band directors, where would you have time to try to work out, to try to do things like that? The only thing that I can tell you to do is to park further away from the store when you go in a store. We do a lot of walking when we're doing marching band and stuff, but, and I mean, I don't know if y'all do, but I stand up a lot when I'm doing consulting with people too, and when I'm teaching too. So that counts. So just being a little more cautious about what you're eating, what you're drinking, things like that.
Yeah.
Because, yeah, we're all going to be 83 someday, like my mom is today. So,
I hope so.
but we'll all
All
be
right.
healthier because we know a whole lot more about medicines and the environment and things like that than they knew back
Yeah.
then. They didn't know anything back then. My mom grew up on a farm and they did crop dusting. You know what
Yeah.
that is?
Oh yeah.
Mhm.
Yeah. So they would just, she said, you would look outside and it would just be like fog. Well, that can be good for you. So it's no wonder that generation has a lot of issues that are going on.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I'm probably gonna have issues growing up next to all the chemicals I grew up next to.
Yeah.
Well, if
But
you grew up on a farm, yeah. Yeah.
yeah, that's just part of the deal.
Right. That's what it was.
Is there a genre of music that you enjoy?
I love jazz. Now, when not modern jazz so much, but I like New Orleans jazz
Oh,
and big
oh, is
band.
there
Love big band.
Yeah.
Of course, I'm a
So do
sax
I.
Good
player. That
stuff.
makes sense, doesn't it? Yeah.
Yes, it
Yeah.
does.
Well, I love that stuff.
I know you do.
Second line stuff, I love it.
I know.
Like I was actually when I was fixing our part of our fence blew down, with this weather.
Mhm.
When I was fixing our fence, I was listening to who was I listening to? I was listening to Youngblood Brass Band.
I was gonna say that. I thought that would be
Mm.
not the right answer.
I was listening to Dirty Dozen Brass Band
Mhm.
and another group
That
the
used
other
to be
day.
your
Mhm.
alarm
Yep, sure did.
every morning.
Well, for UIL, I'm playing Let Me Be Frank with You. And so
Oh,
that's kind of
cool.
where I'm starting, why I've been listening to a lot of that, because I'm like, well, if we're
The
gonna do it, we're
style.
gonna
You gotta do the style.
yeah.
Yes.
So trying to keep my kids within the grasp of like, hey guys, that's this style.
That
Like
is
it's
so
it's
cool.
it's a little dirt, it's a little edgy, but you can't get too edgy on it.
Right. Somebody else was telling me about that piece, which I've got to listen to that on YouTube. It was somebody in this area though. I can't remember who it was now, but yeah, I'm gonna check that out. When do
Yeah,
you go?
Should,
it's
yeah.
a
When do
cool
you go
piece.
to contest, Jose?
Thursday.
This Thursday?
This Thursday.
As in like 2 days?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. Good luck with that. Yeah.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. So that piece it's a fun. The kids
Yeah,
really enjoy it, and
bet they do.
that's another part of the curriculum that they've really gravitated towards. They really enjoy the jazz element, so I'm just gonna
Cool.
lean on it.
Yeah. That'll keep them in band. You got to play stuff that kids like. That's the other thing I'm going to go on my soapbox about. Don't program something that kids are going to hate you and you're going to hate them. We've
Yeah, I
probably
tried
all
to.
done that.
Yeah, I tried to play First Suite with my band last year, and they just weren't into it. And it's just like, oh,
But
it
I
hurt
mean, if you're
myself.
not into it, you're just fighting them. You're just fighting each other. So that's no good.
Yeah, it was definitely a balancing act between the
Yeah.
two, and I was like, oh.
Yeah.
But they enjoy marches. They
Yeah.
enjoy marches, and they enjoy jazz.
They
So
specifically enjoy Susa marches.
yeah,
Wow. That's something. Huh.
Yeah.
yeah. That's what I said. I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
Are you playing a Susan March this year?
I'm playing the Thunder,
Oh yeah, that's a good one. I love that one. Cool.
so it's also a trap.
So what's your other tune?
The other one is Infinite Hope by Brian Baumages. It was written for the 70th anniversary of TBA.
Oh yeah. Okay.
So
That's a good one too.
yeah,
Yeah.
it's very cinematic, very very French horn heavy.
I like
But
this stuff.
the kids they're really enjoying the music. I think this is probably their favorite program. Like out of all the seniors that we have in the program, I think this
Oh,
is
It's a
probably
good
their
program.
favorite
good.
program.
Good.
And so, and part of that's just because we played Melodious Thunk last year, and they love that piece. So they were just like, "Can we do something like that again?" I'm like, "Sure." So I went on the hunt, and that's how I got landed on "Let Me Be Frank with You."
Absolutely. That's a cool piece too. Melodious Thumb.
Yeah.
I love that.
So Sherry, if someone wants to get in contact with you for your services, your wonderful services, or mentorship,
We're
how?
asking for everyone else.
Yes. Wink,
What?
wink, wink, wink. How would they get a hold of you?
Through my email, which is, I mean, I'd be glad to share that with anybody. It's spoteet0420@gmail.com or Messenger. You can send me a message in Messenger. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Instagram. So you can find me. Or just ask somebody. Somebody knows me somewhere along the way.
Somebody will flag her down.
There you go.
There's a band here that needs help.
Right, there you go. There you go.
Oh,
So, but Sherry, this has been so wonderful. Thank you for taking the time to talk to us, and going past your bedtime.
and past our
Yeah,
bedtime.
this is
I
past
bet
our bedtime.
Totally
you've got
worth it.
kids. You've got kids.
Oh.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Totally worth it though.
Well, y'all, I gotta say, I do remember exactly when Jose and I met. We were in a gym and we were doing an all-region band in Region 8. I don't remember what school it was at, though, is the only thing. I do
It was
remember
Grosbeck.
Yeah.
Grosbeck, okay. And y'all are wonderful people, and I have enjoyed this so much. I'm so honored that y'all asked me to do this and that we could connect this way and just yap it up. We don't get to do that very much, so I loved it. Thank you.
No,
Oh.
I mean, yeah, thank you. I mean, it's important for people to know just how awesome of a person you are. Like, really, you have been a gift to music education and to the band director world. And like, the point of this whole entire thing is to remember like what band is and what it does for all of us, and that all of us have gone through failures and we overcome and
Oh,
we
yeah.
create good people.
Yes.
And
You're very
before
inspiring.
thank you so much. And before we leave, I want to say how important this podcast is to small schools. We can see all these other big schools and all this. This is how I do this in my band program, and this is how it should be done. And we've got all these private lesson teachers, but we need representation, and there's a lot more of us than there are of them. And so, you guys taking the time and the effort, and again, I don't know how you do it, to put this out there and to feature small school people and just giving us a chance to talk, I think that is just so cool, so awesome. And I'm going to tell everybody. So get ready.
Thanks.
Oh, we
We're
appreciate
passionate about it. That's why we do it.
You
We
must
just
be.
want people to know what's
Yeah.
going on in the small schools.
Okay. Well, you guys let me know if I can do anything for you. I'd be happy to.
Oh, for sure.
Yep.
Well, thanks for listening to Band Yap. We will see you next time. Bye.
We out.